Oh my God. Hello, hello. It is like almost 4 in the morning here. My sleep schedule is so out of whack. I've completely given up at trying to get it back on track at this point. I think from now until the end of the year, we're just going to write it out. I've always been an intuitive sleeper, intuitive eater anyway. I don't really like to follow a schedule, and it's just gotten more exacerbated with, I guess, the freedom that comes with working from home, which I'm not complaining about. That's definitely a luxury, but yeah. So, hi, Sneha. Nice to see you here again. Okay, you guys, I have so much tea to spill, and I'm going to be talking a lot of shit in this video just to forewarn you. So if you're not into that, if you don't want to hear about like drama and cattiness and whatever, feel free to click off. But I just want to say one thing. There's two main girls in the beauty pageant that I'm participating in, that I have been participating in throughout this whole year, because this organization throws them, like, I would say quarterly. We've had 3 events this year so far. No, 4? 1, 2. They have had 4 events, but I joined at the second event. So I personally have only participated in 3 beauty contests thrown by this organization so far. And then they're going to have the big one in January. That's like the huge one with over 100 contestants. So all the little events up until now have been smaller affairs, but still, a beauty pageant nonetheless, which is such a fascinating, I want to say, institution, because I truly feel, after having participated in 3 so far this year, I truly feel like beauty pageants need to have their own category in terms of like, I don't know what you would call it aside from institution, because you know how we have like governments, we have these are all human constructed ideas of like groups or places of belonging, right? So we have countries, and then sorry, I'm all over the place, but we have countries, we have governments. A company is also a different type of institution. Religion, right? The different churches are also different institutions. Even Scientology, which is more of like a cult, but they claim a church status in order to avoid taxes and stuff. So yeah, I feel like it's been hidden under our noses this entire time. And maybe some of you have already been aware, but until I personally have experienced taking part directly in a beauty pageant, which this year was the first time in my entire life that I have ever gotten involved in pageantry of any sort. And the most interesting part is that this pageant that I'm a part of is like the most ultra niche thing that you could ever imagine. It focuses more on, it was born out of like appreciation for both Chinese and Japanese traditional wear. That's kind of their, overall philosophy. So the pageant heavily centers around like basically traditional clothing that can be found in China, Japan, and Korea as well. Like sometimes they expand the departments. There's 3 main divisions, right? So there's the kimono division, the chipao, or they say in Japanese the China dress division, which is what I participate in, and there's the hanfu division, which is also Chinese. It's like, that flowy outfit that you see in a lot of C dramas. And then depending on who participates, they sometimes add smaller subdivisions, like different ethnic wear from different countries, depending on what participants want to participate, right? But the main 3 are kimono, qipao, and hanfu. And yeah, before I get too off track though, so it's like ultra niche, which makes it super interesting, on top of everything. But I really feel, after my whole experience this year, that beauty pageants in and of themselves deserve more scrutiny and like more interest in the whole zeitgeist as a whole. I think on the same level as we scrutinize the institution of church, the institution of corporations, right? Like companies or governments, and even countries, right? Like there are certain countries that inspire a more nationalistic attitude in its people than other countries, Japan being one such country that has like very, very high nationalist zeal. We won't get too much into that. This is not about politics, but yeah, I was in one when I was younger. Adriana, that's so cool. Please tell us about your experience if you so desire. But no, I feel like the recent Miss Universe controversy, like this is perfect timing. And it's just, again, the universe working in tandem with me and the place that I'm at in my life right now. I feel like the universe is always just bringing me like the perfect storm of events. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm still a newcomer. I'm still a newbie in this whole pageant game. And it's not something that I foresee myself doing for the next 10 years or something like that. But maybe, maybe 2 or 3 years tops. We'll see. It really all depends on the outcome of this large contest, the large pageant in January. But yeah, so far, like my experience has taught me that wow, it really is kind of an like a microcosm of society as a whole, or it's kind of it's its own type of institution. That's the only way that I know how to describe it. And I did a little bit of research lately about pageantry. Apparently it has a very, very long history. Like when you think of beauty pageants, you think that it's this very modern idea, like a very modern what's the word, hold on, I'm pulling up Chat GPT, my best friend. Okay. It's like a very 21st century type of idea, right? Like, okay, you're taking a bunch of modern women of that era, and it's literally like year by year, Miss Universe 2025, Miss World 1998. Like, depending, the title itself ties whatever girl that won to the year because she represents at that time, the most modern, like the pinnacle of modern, what is considered a modern beauty and talent, and what's considered in vogue or hip at that time. So when we hear the term beauty pageant, including me up until just very recently, we think of something that's like a very, very recent, modern 21st century kind of invention, right? But in actuality, pageantry has had its roots in like medieval times, or I don't know medieval specifically, but it's been around for a minute. In fact, even in Greek mythology, like in ancient Greece, they had such a thing as a beauty contest amongst the gods. So it's actually like a very, very old type of institution that we are just seeing the most modern iteration of this day in age, in the form of Miss Universe, Miss Japan, and all these contests. But it's also a lot bigger of a thing. Like it's more respected. I feel it's more. How should I describe this? In Asia, I feel like it's more seen as like a regular type of occurrence. Like nobody would bat an eye at you if you said you were participating in a beauty pageant in Asia, whereas maybe in the US or somewhere, depending on the state, right? But I feel like in Western countries, you would more so get the side eye, or you would kind of get like an judgment from people that, oh, she's being superficial, or she only wants to, like, why would you, it has a negative stigma to it, right? Like, why are you putting yourself up there to be judged based on your physical appearance? Isn't this setting back the feminist movement? That's the kind of reaction that you get in Western countries. But in Asian countries, it's very, very different. It's seen as more just like it's a normal thing. It would be the same as if you said you were trying out for the Olympics, or if you any other hobby, like any respectable hobby that anyone would think to pick up. They have the same like neutral reaction towards you if you say that you're in a beauty pageant, right? But the prestige element is still there, like the pretty privilege, social prestige, social currency element of beauty pageants is obviously it's very, very paramount here in Asia. So anyway, I should have taken notes before going on live, but I really don't have time. In my defense, it is 4 a.m. because that's literally the only time I was able to find this week to do this live. But I have to tell you about this upcoming beauty pageant that I'm preparing for. It's going to take place on January 4th in Yoyogi. I don't know the name in English, but it's called Yoyogi Taikukan. It's like this huge stadium, and it's a huge venue, right? So compared to all of the smaller pageants that we've been partaking in throughout this whole year, this one is like maybe 10 times, 100 times the scale. And there is this particular, okay, so I guess we will focus on two particular girls that I have met throughout this pageant. And this is why I say again, I I can just feel like through this entire experience, through my interaction with these girls, I can feel thoroughly that the universe is just on my side the whole time because I see what the universe is doing. You know, it has a very, very funny sense of humor with me. They are bringing free entertainment to my doorstep through this little drama or rivalry, shall we say, between these two girls. So even though like I am in the middle of the entire thing, but somehow I just feel so protected by the universe that like I'm not the direct target of ire by either party. I'm more just kind of like the middleman. I'm like the person that gets along with everyone, you know? And I don't I don't really have an agenda. Like, okay, you guys know me. If you've been following me for a long time, I have been practicing manifestation. I've been practicing positive mindset, positive self-concept for several years. So, I'm true to this, not new to this, okay? And I know more than anyone, especially like more than I'm going to say confidently at least all of the contestants that are currently participating in the beauty pageant, I believe that if I can say anything for sure at this point, I'm not going to say I'm the prettiest or that I'm a shoe in for any award. But if I could say one thing for sure about myself, I definitely have the most powerful mindset and self concept going into this thing because I know without a shadow of a doubt more than any of the girls I'm convinced that are competing in this January's competition. I know more than anyone else that the only thing that matters actually is your what you believe about yourself, right? So I this is not to say that I'm perfect, right? Like I'm still very much on my journey of learning how to become a better and better manifester and learning how to become even more grounded in myself, even more of a warm blooded animal that doesn't depend on outside validation. And you might think that that's, you know, ironic or paradoxical considering that I'm entering into a beauty contest precisely to be judged by other people. But that's not actually the case though. See, this is what I say, like the whole thing is actually a very spiritual experience and there's a lot of like spiritual forces at play here, okay? A lot of secret silent energy attacks happening behind the scenes that you would never be able to see looking at the situation or at the contest head on. But when you're in it, you can feel like it's crazy how I can instinctively feel which girl is kind of hating another girl or which one feels slighted by what the other one said through just like literally the choice of a unique emoji on someone's story or like just a slight choice of words that seems like that was a little off. Was that shade? Yes it was. The answer is yes it was. So but like throughout it all though, even though I'm front and center like interacting with these people and I'm also actively participating in it myself, I feel like the universe is basically just giving me free entertainment in the form of looking at these other contestants like kind of going at each other, but in a very it's all very sneaky, it's very clandestine, right? Because you have to remember this is also happening in Tokyo, this particular beauty pageant. So Japanese culture makes it that much more complicated to where you really like think about, okay, in any beauty contest or a beauty pageant in any area of the world, it's a bunch of like beautiful poised women who a lot hinges on their ability to stay poised and beautiful and save face, right? Even in the face of, you know, disrespect or nice nasty comments, like people giving them backhanded compliments and things of that nature, or people trying to ask them questions or make them look stupid on stage, right? That's kind of part of what people or the judges look for in a true beauty queen, so to speak. Like, not just the physical aesthetics, but you have to be poised. You got to be able to bounce the ball back at someone if they try to knock you off your pedestal or something like that. You have to be able to, you know, um, not dodge, but you have to be able to level with people that throw criticism your way in a graceful manner. It's part of the job description for a beauty queen. So think of that, but multiply it by 10 times, or take it to the 10th degree in Japan, based on the context of Japanese culture as a whole, which already values that aspect of saving face, right? Japan and probably other, other East Asian countries as well. So anyway, getting off track again. So there are these two girls that are clearly, like, they clearly don't like each other, and both of them are clearly trying to one up each other. The funniest part, the most ironic part, is that these two girls, we're gonna call them Red and Blue. So Red is in the kimono division, and Blue is in the qipao, or the China dress division, with me, right? So they are not even in the same division, which means that they don't really have any reason to compete directly with one another, but yet somehow I feel like both of them are basically vying for the queen bee spot. Like, it's kind of like, okay, there's the beauty pageant competition that is happening in the 3D, but then on the energetic field, I feel like there's definitely a different competition going on between these two, where they just want to be the queen bee of the entire organization or something, or they want to be like the teacher's pet of, all of the modeling, the walking senseis and things like that. So you guys, I made a chart for you, okay, to help us all follow through on this convoluted journey. And I might even go back and edit this later and add in different details, because I just find this whole situation that fascinating, and I feel like it's not a coincidence. Again, I feel like it's the universe literally delivering to me on a silver platter, if anything, just free live entertainment for me to keep myself chuckling until the end of the year, or until this contest comes to pass. So okay, where should I start? I mentioned I was going to talk a lot of shit in this video, right? And before you villainize me or look at me as the bad person, there was one thing that this person said in particular that really kind of made me completely decide that, okay, the gloves are coming off now, if that makes sense. Up until she made this one comment, so I'm talking about Red now. Red cannot stand Blue. I actually don't know what, I mean, I don't think Blue likes Red at all, but so far I have not seen any overt actions from Blue to suggest that she really has it out for Red, even though, like, we know and I can sense intuitively that that is kind of the case, but I cannot, okay, in my eyes, I feel like Blue is actually winning the social game at this point. And I'm going to explain what's happening in detail, right? But I just need to set the scene. So, like, Red cannot stand Blue because she thinks that Blue is obnoxious and that she doesn't have any social decorum. She literally, okay, I'm going to tell you, like, actual things that she said word for word from her mouth throughout this video, but Red has been saying that Blue has an empty head. She literally says atama karappo, which means empty-headed in Japanese. So she doesn't have any substance, according to Red, and she hates the fact that, like, Red hates the fact that Blue, okay, Red started doing the contest in February of this year, right? So I have a timeline right here of all the contests that happened so far, when Blue joined as well. But Red joined in February, right? So she has about, like, 3 months more time put into this whole operation than us two, just for context. July, we had one called the World Attire Collection up here, right? And then October was the most recent one. That's the one where I dressed up as Ada Wong for Halloween. My outfit slayed, by the way, if I do say so myself. So then we had October, and that was the last one before the big one in January. But in between, okay, in the interim, like the rest of November and December, there's a lot of things that's going to happen. I anticipate because first of all, we actually do have a lot of events that are aimed towards helping us prepare for the contest. All of them are optional, you know, like if you want to take part, you have to pay a fee, but depending on which division you're in or what award in particular that you're aiming for, I think like we each have to, all of the contestants have to strategically choose which ones we want to partake in or which one is worth our money, to be more blunt about it. So yeah, Red feels like basically Red thinks that she has the most seniority here. She's been doing this since February of this year, whereas Blue and I only joined in May, right? But so far, Red. Okay, so oh my god, there's too much information here. I'm trying to calm down because I'm just so tickled. Like I'm sorry. Maybe you can call this Schadenfreude or well, it's not Schadenfreude yet because nothing catastrophic has happened yet. But I'm just being completely transparent here. Yes, I am a messy. I like messy things as long as I'm not caught up in the middle of it. As long as I'm a spectator and as long as I feel like the people who are caught up in the mess deserve to be there as a consequence of their own actions and their own faulty mindset, then I don't really have any sympathy for them. And I kind of just want to see an implosion of sorts. I don't know. Nothing extreme, of course, but I kind of like, I wouldn't mind if I saw drama and, you know, shoe throwing or crying, like breakdowns at the January event. I'm sorry, you can call me sadistic, but at this point, like, yeah, I'm hoping something really dramatic goes down because I feel like Red deserves it with the attitude that she's taking towards this whole thing. Um, Damn, I might have to like, okay, I really cannot get my thoughts straight on this. I might have to like make another separate video just completely pre-planned. But anyway, so Red is in the kimono division, right? And yeah, maybe I'll just start with her history. So Red actually, like when I first met her, um and the Red is the one that she said something to me about Blue that just put me off so much to the point where it prompted me to make this video because after she said that about Blue, I cannot unhear, and I feel like she deserves whatever misfortune comes her way. Or I guess like in her mind, the worst thing in the world would be to lose this contest or to not get the Grand Prix in the kimono division, which Blue is not even a part of, right? Blue is in the Chipao dress division with me. And so far, like me and Blue don't really have any issues. Now, Blue has tried to say certain slick things to me from time to time, but it's never been anything over the line so far. And for the most part, I feel like me and Blue, okay, I'm just gonna say it. Me and Blue are on the same level in terms of like our looks, basically. Like we both are, and it's not even so much about the looks, but we both embody hot girl energy. We embody unbothered energy. There, that's the word I was looking for. So Blue and I are both very unbothered. And it's like, even though, yeah, okay, sometimes like when you get into a big group, especially a group of girls that are all like trying to be their best selves, trying to present their prettiest selves to the world through this pageant, there's bound to be like some cattiness or some backhanded compliments that someone gave someone else somewhere. That's bound to happen. It's about how you react to it, though, that determines whether or not you are a winner in this thing. So I feel like, as far as general hot girl mentality goes, me and Blue are on the same level. The thing with Red, she is one of those girls that she feels like because she has, I can tell that she grew up and she has totally bought into good girl programming throughout her entire life. Red and Blue are both 38, by the way. So these women are both older than me, even. Like, we're all in our mid 30s. I'm 36, but these two are older than me. So I don't understand. I'm like, why are you guys bickering like a bunch of middle school girls? But again, it at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain because it's kind of just entertainment for me. I feel like I can just kind of watch front row. I'm watching front row at this like dramatic reenactment of I don't know, like some Greek tragedy right in front of my eyes, and I'm living for every second of it. But yeah, so Red is one of those women that thinks that she deserves a prize for being a good girl, for doing everything right. She believes that since she put in the most effort and since she's the teacher's pet, because there's two walking senseis in this organization. One of them is a walking sensei for the kimono participants, and then one of them is a judge for the kimono division, and one of them is a judge for the Chipao division, right? So I have only taken walking lessons with the Chipao sensei, but I've gone to one event with the kimono sensei, and I feel like the kimono sensei, like oddly enough, or not so oddly actually, if you consider that we're both year of the snake, but she's like older than me, so that would make her 48, I guess. But she looks great for her age, and she's fabulous, right? But I just find it funny, like Red has been putting in so much work. She's been working overtime this entire year to get into the good graces of the kimono sensei. And she even like she told me directly, she was like, "Oh, I'm pretty close with the kimono sensei. But recently, this is what has been ruffling Red's feathers, right? Recently, Blue has been trying to take her spot for whatever reason. Like Blue has been cozying up to the kimono sensei. Blue has been shouting her out a lot in her stories. There's also, okay, sorry, I know there's a lot going on, but try to follow because I'm not slowing down for anyone that can't keep up. Okay, you have the ability to pause and rewind and watch again if you choose so. So yeah, there's also in this same organization is producing an online drama. Like it's a yeah, like an online, Chinese slash Japanese drama series, but it's being broadcast on YouTube. And I didn't even know this because like I don't have time to participate in the drama. So they asked me a couple of times, are you interested? Hey Ren, this might be good for you. Like, are you interested in participating? But I was like, you know what? I really just like I'm barely holding on as it is with my full-time job and just participating in the normal contests themselves. Like I would love to, but I don't think I can make the time commitment to film the drama with you guys as well, right? Because they do that like every weekend. If I committed to the drama, I would literally not have a single free day like in the entire month, and which would drive me insane. So I had to say no to the drama, but I found out later from Red. So Red and Blue are both doing the drama, right? This tells you like their level of commitment to this whole beauty pageant. Because when you I mean, okay, I don't want to say that it's a totally rigged game. It's rigged, but it's also not. All right, it's rigged in the sense that if you don't do any of the extracurricular activities that the company or the organization, I'll call it, the organization that runs the beauty pageant, right? If you don't choose to participate in any of the extracurricular activities or events that they throw, if you do not take a single lesson from any of their senseis for, walking or for Chinese speech is another uh, lesson, because that's another part of the pageant that they judge people on. They also have an influencer award. So they have this sponsor called Infinity that produces a lot of beauty products like face masks and things like that, hair brushes. So I'm also going to review one of the items from Infinity to go towards my candidacy for the influencer award, right? So there's different like divisions. The three main ones are the kimono, Qipao, and Hanfu, right? But then there's a lot of like subcategories, like smaller awards, influencer award, Chinese speech award, Chinese vocals award, or yeah, C-pop vocals award, things like that. So if you don't participate in anything, then you're probably guaranteed to not win anything. Like you have pretty much next to zero chance. But if you participate in like one or two, here or there, maybe you have restrictions when it comes to budget, so you can't go all out balls to the wall and attend every single event because they charge a hefty price tag for these events, by the way, which I don't even want to say here because to be honest, I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm like letting myself get caught up into this. But again, I feel like this is exactly where I need to be at this point in time in the year of the snake 2025. Like this was fate. Okay. This is exactly the organization, the beauty pageant, the activity that I was meant to take part in this year. But I'm not going to talk about the prices because I'm embarrassed. I feel like if you guys heard the prices, you would be like, oh girl, bye. Like, what are you doing with your life? But no, it's just a fascinating like social experiment to me, and I believe I was meant to have this experience to just further my understanding of manifestation in general and just like human psychology, women, how women relate to each other and things like that. But yeah, I got off topic again. Where was I? Okay, so Red, for the most part, has enjoyed the position of the teacher's pet with the kimono sensei, right? But like recent, and the kimono sensei is also very heavily involved in the production of the drama that they're shooting on the side, separately from the pageant. However, the fact that if you are a participant in the drama, that also gives you like a chance of having a better standing with the judges at the actual pageant, right? Because that means it's just like a natural thing. You spend more time with the senseis. They remember your face more. They remember like your strengths and your weaknesses. So, it's rigged, but it's not, right? Because it's like you could be the person that took the most lessons. You could have participated in more events than anyone else out of all the other contestants, and you could still, obviously, you're not guaranteed to win just because of that. But if you participated in zero, then you're probably guaranteed not to win anything, right? But if you participated in a few, or whether like there's a spectrum, if you participated moderately to very very actively, then it's hard to tell. Like, it depends on a number of factors between the people that participate moderately to very actively. It could be like anyone in that range, right? And it just depends on the judges on the day of the pageant have the final say. But yeah, Red is one of those women that feels like she is the one that invested the most money so far. She's invested the most time, and she even confided to me that she took over. Oh my god, I don't want to say the price, you guys, because then you're gonna clock how much I'm spending. But okay, I'm not spending anywhere near as much money as Red has spent on this whole ordeal this year. But she told me that she took like over $2,000 worth of walking lessons with the senseis this year cumulatively, right? That's a lot of freaking money on just modeling walking lessons. It's not even real modeling. It's just like modeling for the purpose of winning this pageant. You see what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't want to say anything against the senseis because they're lovely people, but I'm not sure that their techniques are necessarily what you would consider to be like actual, runway level modeling techniques. But the point is that if you were going to take lessons, you want to take it from them, right? In order for the purpose of winning this pageant, because whether or not their walk is like worthy of a fashion runway is kind of irrelevant. They are the ones that know how to walk to give you a higher chance of winning this pageant. So that's why you want to take it with them. Also, they're the judges, right? So you would ingratiate yourselves with them, and you would make they would remember your name. Your name would stick in the forefront of their mind more so than the other contestants that didn't take individual walking lessons with them, if that makes sense. I hope you're following, okay? Because like I said, I'm not going to slow down. So yeah, so Red has, I believe, I don't know if she's taken the most lessons out of anyone that's participating in this pageant so far, but from what I can tell, I feel like that's the case, because she's also like, she makes herself very very active, and she's always the one that's like volunteering to, if we decide to go as a group to eat dinner after a certain event, it's kind of like we have events, and then there's like an after party, right? Where people decide, okay, do we want to all grab dinner together? And then if we do, Red will be the one that always like overextends herself above and beyond to go find a suitable place for us all to check with everyone. Okay, do you have any allergies? She's the one that tells us, all right, so the bill comes to like this much money per person. So she's always overextending herself. And I get the sense, actually, I know for a fact, okay, because I have this girl clocked. But she thinks that by being a goody two shoes, by doing everything by the book, she should deserve to win the Grand Prix off of that alone. Like, I could just sense this with her. It's not even a sense. She told me directly, right? This is like words coming directly out of her mouth. She was like, yeah, okay, let me tell you the history of Red. So Red started this contest in February, where she won the Chinese speech contest, right? then she entered, originally she's Japanese, but like she also lived in a bunch of different countries, and she's worked in, I don't want to say the actual country, but she's worked in different countries. So that's kind of initially why I started talking with her, because she's kind of like, I felt like her background was similar to me, right? Like we're both Asian girls that lived a long period of time in different Asian countries that are different than our actual ethnicity. So I felt like, okay, maybe I can connect with her a little deeper. Like we have more shared experiences than maybe some of the other people in this contest, and also we work in a similar field for our day jobs. We're both in IT, and she's also like, we're both fully fluent in, like we're fully bilingual. I mean, I won't say that I'm fluent in Japanese, although people, my friends and my coworkers, they're very nice and they always insist that I am, but I don't think I'm fluent. I would say I'm business level, right? So the same thing with Red, except reversed. She's fluent in Japanese because she is Japanese, but she's also like very, very highly proficient in English, and she's worked in English speaking countries for a large part of her life. So like Red, yeah, at first I thought that, okay, this is great because I feel like this girl is similar to me and we have a lot of shared life experiences. And I was looking forward to getting to know her more, right? But I'm going to be honest. And you know what? I'm not going to censor myself here because, like I said, I'm going to reveal to you like near the end of this live, or I have to get through the whole story first. Okay. I'm sorry. Before I get to the final statement that she made about Blue, that really kind of flipped the switch in my mind that, oh, okay, this girl ain't shit. And yeah, so I don't feel, when I say these things about her, just keep in mind it's because like she did something that in my eyes is unforgivable. It basically it revealed to me that she is an agent of the patriarchy. An agent of the patriarchy. Sorry, I cannot enunciate. But to me, if you are a woman and you're like trying to uphold patriarchal ideals, you can literally go to hell. And I'm not treating you with kid gloves, okay? Like I am not going to mince my words when it comes to women like that. So she hasn't done anything personally to me, right? I'm not going to needlessly like antagonize her when I see her next or anything like that, but just on principle, like in my heart already and based on my own value system, I've already written her off. Okay? And I was fine with her up until she said that one incendiary thing. Incendiary, is that the right word? She said that one really damning thing about Blue, that although yes, I 100% agree with her that Blue is trying to do all of these antics to get under Red's skin and to usurp her position as the teacher's pet or the organization's favorite. Blue definitely has her own agenda, but so far from what I can see as a third party, Blue has not done, like Blue has always kept her cool in public, which is similar to me, right? That's why like I kind of feel like, me and Blue, we have no problem with each other when we see each other, even though we're in the same division. So you would think that like we're supposed to be rivals, but like Blue and I, we don't really give a crap. Okay, we are focused on ourselves. Like real recognizes real. This is not to say that I trust her completely or that we're gonna be besties or anything like that, but real recognizes real, and I've never had a problem with Blue. I even took like a bunch of sexy pictures with her in China dress at the last event we were at. I feel like I'm cool with Blue at this point. However, I was trying to sympathize with Red up until she, okay, I'm just gonna say it and then I'll give you the context later because I don't want people to get mad that I'm like teasing a detail that I'm purposely taking forever to get to. But at some point in the conversation with me, Red basically said that she thinks that Blue is secretly doing prostitution on the side to afford her lifestyle or something like that. And like at that point, I was done with her because she literally said the word prostitution out of her mouth. She was like, I think she's doing prostitution. And I'm like, there are so many things that are there's so many things, there's so many levels to that statement that I'm not okay with, just at a value system level, that I knew from that point on, okay, I do not fuck with this girl whatsoever. Like I was I didn't agree with her views, but I was willing to feel sympathy for her. I was willing to empathize with her up until that point. about, her bitter feelings towards being the one that spent the most money on lessons and put the most energy towards this contest, and yet she felt like she wasn't getting the amount of Grand Prix or awards that she deserved. Like, to a certain extent, I did empathize with her because I felt like, okay, well, it's natural to feel like you invested so much into this contest, and to just have other people come in and win awards seemingly with while not putting in even half the energy or resources that you have into this thing. I can see how, like, yeah, I can see how that could feel really crushing and make you unhappy. But once you start to bring in accusations of another girl like doing prostitution or something, just because you personally don't agree with her style of, you know, socializing or social climbing, we can say, just because you think that her methods of getting ahead, so to speak, I need to stop doing this, just because you don't approve of it, that doesn't mean that your worldview is correct. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, even if she was doing peaches, we'll call it, I feel like this live is demonetized already, but anyway, even if she was doing those kind of activities, like, spicy activity, spicy work, right? Why would that be a problem? Like, I personally get it how you get in where you fit in, right? Who are you to criticize another woman who's living alone and supporting her own livelihood by herself, by the way? Like, Red and Blue and I are all single women in our 30s. We're like, independent single women. We all have jobs and we pay for ourselves. Who are you to judge how another woman makes her livelihood? You have no idea, like, what life circumstances she comes from, or even if she comes from relatively a good background, so to speak, that's still her choice at the end of the day, whether or not she wants to engage in spicy work. Like, what does that have to do with your judgment on her as a person, And what does that have to do? Like, that just shows to me that, oh, okay, you're actually an agent of the patriarchy because you are doing this thing where you're trying to, like, discredit her on the basis that, on rumors, by the way, because that's a crazy thing to say about someone without any proof, first of all. But let's say, even if it was true, who are you, like, you're who are you to judge that she's less qualified than you because of this random detail in her personal life, with regards to how she makes her money or how she makes her livelihood? What does that have to do with this contest? Like, the fact that she places importance on her profession, right, or whatever she does to get money, the fact that she thinks that it makes, like, the fact that Red thinks that she's better than Blue because she doesn't engage in certain activities, that alone just shows me how male centered she is and how much internalized misogyny she has. So she can get all the smoke from me, from now on. Not in person, because I'm not trying to invite that chaos into my life, but we're going to talk shit on this live. Okay, so that was my long kind of preamble, or disclaimer, we'll say, about why, like, don't be surprised at the stuff that I say about Red from now on, because she said that about Blue. So now, as far as I'm concerned, all bets are off. Okay, because you just, like, try to discredit another woman based on whatever she has to do to get money or to take care of herself, which is none of your business in the first place. And even if it was true, it has no bearing. Like, in my value system, that has no bearing whatsoever on whether or not you should win a beauty contest, right? And it's not your place as another woman, especially, to judge her, especially, like, shame on you, okay? Because, like, who who's the one that who is the customer or the client base that comes up with the demand for spicy work? It's men, right? So if the men didn't demand it, then the women wouldn't provide it, period. It's just purely economical. Like, how dare you? Are you, like, stuck in the 1800s or something? How dare you assign a moral value of another human being based on such toxic patriarchal ideals? But anyway, so yeah, I feel like, okay, so when I first met her and was getting to know her, I had good intentions. I had high hopes, right? Because our like working history, our life experience seemed to have a lot in common with each other. Like we're both Asian girls that grew up in a bunch of different Asian and Western countries, and we both speak. We are both fully bilingual in English and Japanese, and I just felt like, oh, okay, this is so great. I have someone in this contest that is kind of more like me, and I can actually talk to her in English. So I even like I went we work in the same district. We both work in Ginza in IT. So I even met up with her once for lunch, and that first meeting was totally fine. But I remember thinking, like, so now in hindsight, after all the stuff that came to light, after she confessed to me her true feelings towards her rival, who's not even in the same kimono division as her, but she sees her as a rival, right? After she showed like her true colors and her true internalized misogyny to me, I don't feel bad about saying this, okay? When I first met her, I was shocked to find out that she was only 38. If you told me that she was like 42, I would have believed it. She just has this permanently constipated look on her face. Like, she has, okay, and I'm not, when I say that she looks old, you guys know I'm not, I'm the opposite of like you hit the wall, or I'm not an ageist whatsoever. I feel like you're beautiful and power, like women can be beautiful, powerful, sexy, alluring, magnetic at literally any age. um just look at my entire For You page on TikTok and Instagram is like Monica Bellucci, Pamela Anderson. These are all, you know, all actresses that are so-called past their prime in Hollywood, and yet they're still out here slaying, and they could give any 20-year-old a run for their money. So when I say that someone looks old, like just know that I'm not age shaming. I'm saying that I feel I was shocked to learn that she was in actuality so much younger than what she looks like on the outside, because it's not just the fact that like her face, okay, her face has like, she has wrinkles in her face, but they're not like old wrinkles. You can tell she has wrinkles that are a result of like worrying too much about things, if that makes sense. Like she just has worry written all over her face. And she has these permanent like frown lines, right? Because you can just tell, and it makes sense to me now because I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt when I first met her. So I was, being polite and ignoring all of that and just trying to focus on the beautiful parts of her. But after she said that shit about Blue, I was like, oh, okay. So I don't feel bad because you deserve to look older than you are. And yeah, like she looks very, I don't know. I feel like she deep down, I think she also feels insecure about this, which is probably why she's like making this whole overblown narrative in her mind about Blue being her competition, because Blue is unbothered, right? Blue moves with hot girl energy like I do, but Red feels like, I don't know, maybe she thinks that okay, her looks are maybe not top tier, but I think Red's idea is that she could compensate for that through just like being a doormat, offering to help with any and every single thing that the organization needs, and paying over $2,000 for walking lessons. So she felt that, okay, even though I cannot compete in the looks department with some of the other contestants, at least I can use my financial advantage, right, to pay for more lessons than other girls. Yeah, mostly it's financial because the events and stuff, they also cost money. And then if you go to dinner or after parties after the events, that's even more money out of your pocket. So I feel like she thought that by using her money, she would be able to buy her way into winning the prize that she so deeply coveted. And it's just not the case, Like I said before, it's a rigged game, but it's also not rigged in the sense that like you have to pay a base level entry fee in order to be considered seriously to be in the running towards any award. But after that, it's all fair game. You could pay for 20 walking lessons, and the girl that paid for just two could just honestly have put on a better show than you at the final day of the pageant, like at the actual event. And the judges are judging based off of what they see in the 60 seconds that you have to prove yourself on the day of the pageant. So you cannot like, I don't know, she was like clearly very bitter at the fact that she wasn't able to win back in May. Okay, so let me go through the timeline. Um, okay, I don't know if you can read that. So, okay, Red joins in February, right? Me and Blue join in May. So actually, she has like 3 months on us. So in February, Red wins the Chinese speech contest. In May, this is the first time that I joined and the first time that I met all these girls. Blue wins the Infinity Award. Remember, I mentioned before, Infinity is one of our sponsors, which is a manufacturer of beauty products. So Blue wins that. I don't win anything in May because it was the first time that I joined. And at that point, I didn't pay for anything. Like, I didn't pay for lessons or anything. At this point, I really just thought, hey, this is a little cool activity that I can use as an excuse to wear a cheap out and walk down a runway. I've never done that before and I want to try. So that was what I was approaching the competition with the mentality of. And yeah, basically, I didn't pay for any lessons or extra events. So that's no surprise to me that I didn't win. Between May and July, right? I decided, okay, I kind of want to win one of the small awards, right? I wasn't thinking about the Grand Prix because I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't willing to put in that much effort. But I mentioned that there's a lot of smaller awards that they'll give out to people as kind of like consolation prizes, if you want to use a more cynical term. So there's like the Influencer Award and the Best Chinese Speech Award. There's the Japan China Ambassador Award, Infinity Award, right? Like you get to be a spokesmodel for the Infinity brand that sponsors us. So between May and July, I'm like, let me see if I can win like one small random award. So I decided to take one walking lesson from one of the senseis, from the cheap house sensei, between May and July. Actually, it was like right before the performance in July. And on on the day of the contest in July, actually, I was not having a good day. Like I was not in a good mood. It was not a good weekend for me. I won't go into details, but I was like, I was even crying that afternoon. And I remember I almost didn't even get my hair done for the event because I was just so over everything. Like the contest, honestly, the beauty pageant was the last thing on my mind. But like I knew that, okay, all I have to do is go through the motions. And I kind of knew in the back of my mind too, as a seasoned manifester at this point, I knew that maybe just somehow the level of detachment that I was truly feeling in that moment, unfortunately, it was because of like, other things that were upsetting me in my life at that time. But in the back of my mind, I knew that, okay, maybe this actually could work in my favor in the end, at least with regards to the pageant, because I'm so detached I'm so over everything at this point that I think that in itself that might make the manifestation come to me faster and get me one of the smaller awards, right? So yeah, like I almost didn't get my hair done, but then at the last minute I found a salon that was open and that was super cheap. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get this over. Let me make an appointment so that I can get my hair done because I realized I kind of came to my senses that yeah, it'll look kind of weird if you have regular hair while everyone else has these fancy updos and all of these ornate decorations and things in their hair. So I didn't even get a fancy hairdo. I literally just paid someone like 4,000 yen to curl my hair because I cannot do anything. Okay. I need to, that's one of the skills that I'm trying to actually brush up on through this whole pageant experience. Like I'm trying to at least learn how to do something with my hair. I'm never going to be a hair whiz, but I want to do simple half updos and things like that. But yeah, at this point in July though, I still like I couldn't do my hair. I do all my makeup every time by myself because I don't like other people doing my makeup. I feel like they just don't understand my face or they don't understand the look that I'm going for anyway. So I like the way that I do my makeup, which makes sense because I'm a makeup reviewer, YouTuber for like going on 7 years now. But yeah, I come to my senses and I make an actual hair appointment with a salon. And then, but like, I wasn't feeling great that day, I remember. And I was feeling bloated. Like, I didn't feel 100% snatched. But yet, when I put my dress on, I'll show you. It was the pink and white one. So it's in the thumbnail of this video, or I'll edit in later. But when I put my dress on, my mood entirely changed. Because I think it's just a really flattering silhouette on me. It's like a mermaid type dress. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I always slay in my mind, but that's the thing. Like, that's what separates my mentality from that of everyone else in this contest. I already know that I won, no matter what. Okay, like I won at life. I win by simply existing and breathing. I mean, look at this. Okay, sorry, my monitor went out. The computer could not even handle my hotness. But yeah, so like that's, I truly believe that that's where my advantage lies. Like my mindset is the strongest, and my self concept is the strongest, because I truly understand that I literally won no matter what, right? Like no matter what the external circumstances are, I won simply by being me. How can I lose when I'm already chose? Like, you know, whereas like these other girls, I don't know about Blue really, because I feel like Blue again is doing well, at least keeping up appearances on the social front. She seems very unbothered throughout this whole thing. But Red, you can read the worry all over that girl's face, okay? And she has this like, yeah, permanently sour, permanently constipated looking expression that ages her a lot, in my opinion. Although obviously I would never tell this to her face, but yeah, I don't think. And even like, okay, at one of the recent events, when the kimono sensei threw this like selfie event for us, where we all rented this old wooden style traditional Japanese house for the entire day, and we just sat there and took selfies of each other, and we took fun like amateur type video, b-roll type of content of each other, and it was actually super fun. Like I was not expecting for that to be such a blast, but I don't know, I had a really fun time, and I thought that I really looked good in my China dress, in my outfit. I wore the dress that I plan on wearing in the actual January competition, and yeah, it was a good time. But after the photography session, we all decided to go to dinner together, right? And then the kimono sensei she turned to me and she was like, "Oh my god, Ren, I had no idea that you're like almost the same age as Red, because I literally thought you were like 26." Which, okay, I don't take it that seriously when people tell me that. I know that I look really good for my age. I know I look really young. Not just like the skin, but I think my features as well. They're just like rounder and softer, which translates to a younger looking face, right? So trust me, like I'm thankful for that, and I'm not gonna pretend like I don't enjoy it. Of course, everyone like who doesn't want to look younger than they are, but I really take it more seriously when it comes from like a fellow Asian woman, right? Cuz when it comes from like non-Asian people or western people, that sounds weird. When it comes from people in non-Asian countries, right? Like if I'm traveling abroad to Dubai or wherever, I don't really take it that seriously, because I feel like they, in their minds, all Asian people look younger than their actual age anyway, just because like our features are just so starkly contrasted with that of people in the Middle East or whatever. But in Asia, if another Asian person, particularly like another woman, tells me that I look this many years younger than my real age, that's when I really believe it. Like, okay, I'm actually doing something right here. This is not just like people being nice to me or people trying to flatter me in order to get something from me later. So yeah, when the kimono sensei told me that, she was like, "I literally thought you were 26." I was like, "Oh, okay, that tracks. So that means I'm doing something right." And I know it's like it felt really good, right? But it's not a surprise to me, because I actually, as effortless as this looks, I actually make a concerted effort to keep up my youthful appearance. Okay, you know what goes into my technique for keeping up a youthful appearance? Not stressing over anything that doesn't get me paid, not sacrificing any sleep, whatsoever. Like, I'm notorious for waking up at 11 a.m. on weekdays. Technically, my workday is from 9 to 6, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., but people don't really wake up until like 10:30 a.m. at the earliest. I know for a fact that my manager, whenever she does go into the office, she doesn't even show up until like 10:30, because everyone, we have like total hybrid, total flexibility when it comes to whether we want to work at home or at the office. So on the days that people do go to the office, like for the most part, they will try to avoid the rush hour in the morning. So anytime after 9 a.m., right? The point being, no one is really awake until 11 a.m. So like sometimes I will literally stay up all night and make content for YouTube and TikTok, because that's what I like. It's what fills up my soul. I love content creation. But then like the great thing about working from home is that I save so much time that I would have otherwise spent on the commute, that I can just use that to, continue making content for social media, and then sleep. And literally, like, sometimes I'll sleep on my makeup. Oops. But yeah, oftentimes I end up like just wearing myself out with the content creation so much that I don't even have enough energy to take my makeup off before I fall asleep. And then I'll wake up at 10 a.m. the next morning, and it's just totally fine. Like, I feel totally refreshed, and I'm able to do an 8 hour day, an 8 hour days worth of work in like 3 hours tops, right? Corporate jobs for you in a nutshell. But anyway, so like, it may seem effortless, but like actually it's because I'm very savage about my boundaries and about my self-care. Okay? I don't play about my self-care. I don't self-sacrifice myself for anyone. I don't overextend myself unless I'm getting paid. Um but like, this is the kind of stuff that when I voice it out loud, I could just tell, cuz Red has also seen some of my reels and stuff on Instagram where I preach this type of mentality, this mental rewiring, I like to call it, to other women in my age group or younger. My message is for all women, but like usually women that are in their 20s, they tend to gravitate towards me when they're finding themselves at that point in their lives where they're sick of being a people pleaser and they want to get rid of the guilt programming and the good girl programming. That's when they come to my channel for like the real savage advice. And so I could tell by Red's reaction to some of my reels. Like, sometimes she would make comments. She would be like, "Oh, oh my god, like Ren just says like the craziest things, like it's the first time that I ever heard anyone say so bravely that if someone is not paying your rent, then their opinion doesn't matter." And you can tell that like she wasn't shading me, but it's definitely not the mentality that she operates from in her day to day, which is why, in my opinion, I feel like she's losing this battle. Like, she's headed towards a total crash out in January, I think. I mean, but at this point, like, I'm not even rooting for her, if I'm 100% honest. Um, I don't think she deserves to win because she revealed to me who she actually was. Because she tries to come across as all prim and proper and being a helping hand, helping the sensei with the setup every time we have an event, or like she dedicates every single free moment that she has throughout the week to her preparation for this beauty pageant, which I would think, like, under normal circumstances, I would find that to be commendable. But I clocked now that all the effort that she puts in, she tries to draw a covert contract with the universe, with other members of the organization, everyone that she comes into contact with. She's the type of person that makes a covert contract without letting you know about it. She'll do things and then she'll expect something in return from you for the effort that she puts forth, which means that her effort is not genuine, in my opinion. It's all for outside validation. It's because, like, to me, she's weak. She can't stand on her own 2 feet, right? Like, and it's so apparent also in the way that she's so bothered by Blue now ramping up her efforts for the contest. Like, of course, everyone wants to win to varying degrees, right? Like, other people have different agendas with the pageant. There's a lot of people that don't necessarily want to win. They just kind of want to use it as a publicity tool, right? Like, regardless of whether you win an award or not, you're going to have nice videos of yourself walking down the runway. It's a really beautiful venue, so you're going to have like great B-roll footage for, if you're an influencer, that's going to be helpful to you no matter what in your content, whether or not you win a prize. But yeah, so like it became very apparent to me through our few one-on-ones that we've had together that Red is one of those girls that is just completely focused on external validation. She's focused on male validation, and she's focused on, I think the term is respectability politics, like the idea that she should be awarded a higher standing in society, in the eyes of this organization, of the pageant community, of everyone else, because she is working at a respectable job, right? She has a respectable position in IT. I also work in IT, and actually my company's better than hers, but anyway. But like, see, I don't have this type of hierarchical thinking. Like, I don't consider myself inherently to be better than an S worker or a stripper. As far as I'm concerned, you guys know my philosophy. We are all prostituting ourselves under capitalism, and like, to me, there's no point in building this hierarchy based on sexism and misogyny, basically, of women. Like, what is the point of placing, I don't know, an actress, like a Hollywood actress, on top of, what is the point of placing a Hollywood actress above like an adult film actress, or placing an adult film actress above, an S worker that actually, like, her day-to-day work is to literally meet with different clients and sleep with them for money. I don't see the point in dividing, in like triangulating women against each other that way. It's only helping to strengthen the patriarchy. It's only deepening the sentiment of misogyny in society. It's only perpetuating like this really, really harmful conditioning and programming that we are imbuing into these young girls, that they should, they need to do, and they need to do certain things and act a certain way. They need to do things the right way in order to be respected in society. But then even if you do things the right way, you don't get rewarded for it, right? Like, good girls never finish first. Bad girls are the ones that get rich. Bad girls get everything they want. So it's like, if you were raised and conditioned and brainwashed into being a good girl in your whole life, and you have that come to Jesus moment that all good girls have to reckon with at some point or other in their lives. Some of them are able to delay it until very late in life, 40s, 50s, 60s, but I feel like this girl, this Red, she is going to have to face the music soon. I'm actually kind of surprised that she made it all the way until age 38 without having to face this reality, but she's going to have to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, the world doesn't play fair, or the world doesn't reward you based on your effort or how good you are, okay? The world rewards only the most cunning and the most strategic women, period, okay? And it has nothing to do with your arbitrary personal morality that you assign to certain actions or whatever. So anyway, let me continue with the timeline. All right. So between May and July, I take a lesson. And then, so in July, Blue wins the Chinese speech contest, because Blue has been taking lessons with the Chinese teacher as well at this point. So she wins the Chinese speech contest award. And then Red wins the Kimono Grand Prix award. So I didn't know at this point, like, I still didn't know much about Red. I didn't really spend time with her one-on-one at this point. Oh yeah, and then me here. Sorry, I ran out of colors, so it's just black. But Ren, that's me. I, surprisingly, not surprisingly, but as a nice surprise to me, because I wasn't thinking about it, like, I refused to entertain any thoughts of wanting or desiring an award. I was just practicing, like, okay, I'm already a queen. I'm already the baddest bitch. Like, that's it. That's my mentality. I'm not in competition with anyone except for myself. So I win the photogenic award, which was the last award to be announced, and it actually wasn't listed in the list that they had projected onto the screen. So they had a list of like 5 different smaller awards, right? Like the Chinese Speech Award, which Blue won this time around, and the, the influencer award or whatever, I don't remember, but they went through the 5 on the screen, and then my name wasn't called, right? So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I didn't win anything, I didn't win a physical award this time, but I still look hot, so whatever. I was getting ready, like I was literally halfway out of my seat, ready to go to the refreshments table to grab a drink, when they said, oh, and then by the way, the last award, the photogenic award, goes to Ren. And this is where you get a picture of me being like, what? This is me, my Beyonce moment, when Beyonce won like best country album or something of the year. I put it in my post. So this is me winning the best photogenic award. And like, it's not even, sorry, there's a glare, but you see there's a list of awards. Oh my God. There's a list of awards on the screen behind me, and best photogenic for some reason is not even listed there. So I guess they didn't have time to fix the PowerPoint or whatever before the pageant. But yeah, I won best photogenic, and then it just reminded me of this shot of Beyonce at the Grammys or VMAs, one of those awards where she won the best country album and she totally wasn't expecting it. Yeah, that was my sentiment. Then we moved to, okay, so then I'm kind of like a little bit energized at this point, because I'm like, oh, I never expected to win anything, not even one of the consolation prizes going into this pageant. Like truly my pure motive from the beginning was that I just wanted a chance to wear qipao, right? And the fact that like this event allows you to do a whole 60-second walk down a runway and do all these like fancy turns and get professional photography taken of you in your outfits, that was very appealing to me, because I'm like, yeah, like this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Because what other place in the world besides Tokyo would you be able to partake in a contest like this, where like so many different Asian ethnic traditional wear is represented, right? So that was truly the biggest allure for me in entering this whole contest, and the big one that's going to happen in January. And I feel like that's what sets me apart from a lot of the other girls that are entering this contest, because like, I don't know, again, there's a lot of different like secret rivalries happening on the individual level with people, but with me, when I say I'm only in competition with myself, I mean it. Okay, I'm not just saying it as like the cool Instagram caption thing to say. Like, I walk the walk. I don't just talk the talk. And a lot of these girls out here, they're all talk and no walk, if you know what I mean. Not that I care though, because again, I'm not even focused on anyone except for myself. Like, I keep my eyes open in case there are any saboteurs out there in the midst, but I'm pretty good at, escaping certain situations unscathed. Like, my energy doesn't allow people to F with me. I don't really know how else to put that. But and by the way, this was a Shein dress. So some of these girls are out here spending like hundreds and thousands of dollars on their dress. I won the photogenic award in a Shein dress. You know why? Because my body is tea and I can pull that off. All right. So like, this is not coming from a place of arrogance, right? It's just a very high self-concept. Like, I know I'm the shit. I know that I'm one of a kind, okay? I have this special mix of sexy and cute, childlike, but also like very grown and mature all at the same time, okay? I'm 36, but I walk around looking like I'm 26. Even the kimono sensei said so. And I think actually, I feel like, okay, I don't want to like, again, I don't want to impose anything on other people, but after spending more time with Red and learning about like what kind of a person she really is, I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that I think she felt some type of way by the kimono sensei, saying that, oh, she was surprised to find out that Ren is almost the same age as Red, right? Because I'm 36 and she's 38. And she said this like right in front of everyone. She was like, I thought you were literally 26, Ren, but I guess like you're actually closer to Red than I thought. So, but she didn't say that Red also looks like she could be 26. She just said Ren. I thought that she was in her 20s, but I know that everyone else here is in their 30s. So I was like, at the time, I didn't think anything of it, but looking back, I'm like, oh, she definitely felt some sort of way about that. Because like later, after that, now that I think about it, Red also would mention to me from time to time. She would be like, "Oh, but you have the looks to pull it off, though," or "Oh, she would always say like, "Oh, your skin looks really good," and like, obviously, yes, I understand that people can just compliment you and have it be a genuine compliment, but it was happening a little too frequently, for me to take it as just like innocent admiration. I was like, you now that I put two and two together, I think she was definitely set off by that kimono sensei's comment about how Ren looks 26, but then she didn't say that anyone else in the group looked like they were in their 20s. And here's the thing, Blue was in that group too, right? This is the photo session that we all like, the selfie photo party thing that we all had in that traditional Japanese house. So like Blue is also 38, and I think she looks great. But like I wouldn't say necessarily that Blue looks super young for her age, but she looks great for her age, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily an age thing, but like Blue didn't feel any type of way, I could tell by the sensei complimenting me on how youthful I look and not her. Like Blue has always had the same energy towards me. She's always thought I was like super cute and fun, and we have the same energy together. But Red is the one that like overthinks everything and overanalyzes, and she gets upset when she feels like she's not getting the things that she deserves based on the effort that she put in. That's because Red doesn't know how to manifest. What can I say? But okay, let's go back. So I didn't know at the time. This is July, right? This is where I win the photogenic award, and I'm kind of energized. I'm like, oh, maybe I actually have a chance to like win more awards, or let's see. At this point, I'm like, you know what? Let's see how far I can take this pageant thing, right? So I'm excited. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like this is not validation for me as, like my worth as a woman or my beauty or anything, but validation in the sense that, okay, I made the right choice to participate in this organization's pageants. So I didn't know yet at this point, but Red would later on tell me at one of our lunches together that she actually was gunning for the Qipao Grand Prix in May. So between February and May, I think this is the period where Red was referring to that she spent like $2,000 in fees for private walking lessons from the walking senseis. But apparently, oh yeah, sorry, I had to think. Okay, so apparently in May, there was this dark horse candidate that came out of nowhere and entered into the Chief How competition. And it was a professional, I don't know if she was like half Japanese and half Chinese, but she might have just like been Chinese but living in Japan for a while, but she was a professional model already, like a freelance model as her day job. All right. So there's this Chinese model that comes out of nowhere. She has like 100,000 followers on Instagram, and she enters the Qipao division in May, right? So at this point, Red, this is according to what she tells me, Red is like sweating bullets because she thought that she was a shoo-in for the Qipao Grand Prix in May 2025. So like between May and July, Red switched her strategy completely and she decided to go with kimono, which kind of makes sense because like Red, after all, is Japanese by ethnicity. So I think that like not that you can only win kimono if you're Japanese or you can only win Qipao if you're Chinese, but just like strategic wise, you have to be in the organization to kind of understand that I think that was the right direction for Red to go if she really wanted that Grand Prix prize so badly. But yeah, at this point though, in May, Red was preparing for and fully expecting to receive the Grand Prix for the Qipao division, right? But the dark horse candidate, the Chinese model that actually models as her day job, that has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, so she's like a bona fide influencer as well. She enters the Qipao contest, and Red starts to get nervous at that point, right? Because she's like, wait a minute, how can I compete with a full-time, like an actual Chinese model? And these are her words, her exact words to me. She was like, oh, I looked through her Instagram, and the moment I looked through her Instagram and at her photos, I could tell, I was just like, I cannot compete with this. Which, that alone, that tells me more about Red's mentality than anything else. Like, what do you mean you can't compete? Just because somebody else has more followers than you, or you perceive her to be more conventionally attractive than you? Like, the fact that you're even thinking about yourself from that vantage point, like the fact that you're placing yourself in competition with somebody else, even though, yes, okay, on the surface, it seems like, yeah, you're both entering into the same Qipao division, so you are competitors, but like, it does you no favors to think of it that way. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds cliche, but you really only should just be competing with yourself. Not even, I don't even like the word competing at all. I just like to think of it as, I want to become the best and the most beautiful version of myself possible. Okay. I want to slay as much as possible on the day of whatever contest, which has nothing to do with anyone else's level of what they bring to the table, right? Because we're all like, every single performance, every contestant has a completely different, unique set of skills and like positive points that they bring to the table that cannot be replicated by any other contestant. So why, like, I feel like she thinks that the reason she lost, so yeah, this dark horse candidate ended up winning the China dress, the Qipao division, right? And then Red, apparently, actually not apparently, because okay, so Red is crushed by losing the Qipao dress Grand Prix to this Chinese model in May, and she's starting to doubt her own choice so far. She's starting to doubt whether or not she even wants to continue entering into these pageants with this organization, because she's like, I literally invested, thousands of dollars into preparation for this, and then out of nowhere, this girl who is a professional model, I think she only took like 1 or 2 walking lessons, so she spends a fraction of what Red has spent thus far preparing, and yet she's a shoo-in for the Grand Prix. And she's just like, in Red's, from Red's perspective, she feels like the Grand Prix was snatched away from her. In my perspective, I feel like that's just life, honey. I mean, what do you want me to say? This is why, in my opinion, like, that's why you're not supposed to invest so much of yourself emotionally upfront. Financially speaking, honestly, if you have the money, go crazy, take as many lessons as you want. But the danger with people like Red, though, is that they cannot separate just like putting in the effort from their actual emotions, right? So I feel like where she went wrong is that she invested, and even to this day, she is way too invested emotionally into this contest. Like, she is basing her self-worth and her status in her mind on whether or not she can win the Grand Prix, which is exactly what you should do if you wanted to guarantee that you didn't win the Grand Prix, right? Manifestation girlies, back me up here. Like, this is the basic tenet of manifestation. The more that you want something, the more desperate that you are for it, the farther away it's going to get from you, because you're just cementing your own position as somebody who is desperate to win the Grand Prix or to be the beauty queen, rather than embodying the identity of the beauty queen to begin with. You see how spiritual this is, but the thing is, like, yeah, I'm not going to say any of this to her, because first of all, I don't think she would be able to absorb it. She's not in the mind state yet to absorb this type of information. I think she's still clinging on to her old good girl programming, that if I just do everything right, and if I just present the perfect image to the world, and if I'm perfect to everyone and I bend over backwards, then they'll give me the award. But you and I know, Blue also knows, okay, That's not how the world works. And that's not how manifestation works either. And that doesn't make you a good person either. See, that's where the real delusion lies. I feel like Red thinks that she thinks that she's genuinely being a good person because she follows the so-called social rules to a T. But like, just because you know how to follow social rules and make yourself look good in the eyes of the powers that be, so in this case it would be the judges for the beauty pageant, that doesn't make you a good person, okay? By default. Like that doesn't automatically just make you better than someone else as far as your quality as a human being. Actually, no one human person, like nobody has the right to decide if another person is up to par or is morally, measures up by some arbitrary standard. That's not actually your place to decide whether or not somebody else measures up or whether somebody qualifies, right? We were all accepted by the organization to participate as contestants in this pageant. So that means that we're all equally qualified, period. Like it's not up to you just because you don't like somebody, the way that somebody else acts. You don't get to say that, oh, she doesn't deserve it, or, oh, she's probably doing prostitution on the side to fund her activity. So that therefore that makes her like of lower status than me. No, 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 no. We don't play that over here. But yeah, so Red is like crushed that she loses the Grand Prix in May to this Chinese model who actually turned out to have an attitude problem. Okay, so it gets very, very juicy, guys. So the Chinese model that won the Chinese dress competition in May, she apparently had a very bad attitude because she took one lesson with the kimono sensei for walking right down the runway. And apparently, this is according to Red, the kimono sensei suggested something to her, and the Chinese model was like, no, actually, I'm not a fan of that way of walking. I want to walk this way instead. This is what happened based on hearsay, which offended the kimono sensei, right? Because even if you don't, I mean, like, it's kind of dumb, in my opinion, because you know that the senseis are going to be judges at the competition. So even if you don't like the way that they teach certain walking techniques, first of all, just pretend that you're taking their advice and call it a day, right? But even if you don't like it, they're telling you the way to walk in order to win the competition, right? So you might not like it on a personal level, but you, like, if you had half a brain, you would recognize that, okay, maybe I want to listen to the way that the senseis tell me to walk, though, because this is clearly what they're looking for on the stage on the day of the competition. So it would be in my best interest to just take their advice. But in any case, the Chinese model, I guess, didn't really have that much tact, or maybe she was just so confident about her guarantee at winning the Grand Prix because of her social clout. She won largely based off of clout. And Red told me that the day of the May competition, she walks in to the changing room and the Chinese model is there, and Red says hi to her, and the Chinese model doesn't even acknowledge her. She acts like she doesn't exist, right? So Red at this point is also offended, and she goes and tattletales to the kimono sensei that, hey, this girl kind of has an attitude problem. I said hi to her, she didn't even acknowledge me, etc., etc. So the kimono sensei actually doesn't like the Chinese model at this point either. And I feel like maybe, okay, so I don't know the whole story, but after the Chinese model wins the Grand Prix in May, apparently all her posts related to this pageant and this organization disappeared from her Instagram a few months later. And she was blacklisted from participating in any future contests. And I think it has to do with the fact that essentially because Red told on her, which, like, I think the Chinese model deserved it if she had that much of an attitude problem. Personally, I never came into contact with this person, so I can't say from firsthand experience, but apparently she really did like have a holier than thou attitude, which I agree. I agree you should not be allowed to continue to compete if you're going to have that bad of an attitude, especially as somebody who won the prize anyway. Like, you would think that somebody would at least have a little more grace and a little more respect and show a little more thanks, right, to the organization that gave you your award or your trophy. But I think for that Chinese model, since her day job is modeling anyway, I don't think she took this contest that seriously. I think for her, it was just another hobby, which in Red's mind, it added more insult to injury for the whole thing, because for Red, this competition is like a really big deal. Why? I kind of don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's silly to me. I have secondhand embarrassment, honestly, because I'm like, why are you 38 years old and this desperate for approval from this super niche, like obscure competition that only people in Tokyo who are involved in both the Chinese and Japanese communities here, which is a very small subset of people, right? Only those people could possibly like they would have on their radar the existence of this competition. Outside of that circle, nobody gives a crap, okay? Like literally I'm just here to take selfies, but anyway. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice and I didn't even get halfway through the story yet. No, 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 this cannot happen. I need to get through this today. It's 5 a.m. We are getting through the story. Okay. So, yeah, so this is where Red has a crisis of faith and she's so devastated. And the thing that surprised me is that at one of the events later on, like I joined this lunch that they had with the drama crew. You know, remember I told you they're separately shooting like a Chinese Japanese joint drama to be broadcast on YouTube. So I, just for fun, I joined one of their lunches just to like eat with everyone. And then Red gave kind of like a little speech at that lunch where she explicitly said, she was like, "Oh, hi, you know, my name is Red, blah, blah. I won the Kimono Grand Prix in July. And, you know, I was really happy and I felt vindicated." So this is exactly like, these are her exact words. She said that, you know, she said that she wasn't able to win the Grand Prix in May. So that really tore her up. Sorry, I'm trying to translate in real time. She was making this speech in Japanese. So she said it was kuyashikata, which means that like it was painful. It was tough for me. But then like I was able to win the Grand Prix for kimono in July. So I'm really thankful for that. And I remember thinking during that speech, again, at this point, I still didn't have that much one-on-one interaction with her. So I wasn't like trying to assume the worst of her. But I remember thinking immediately during that speech that, wow, that's kind of lame. Like, I don't know, that's kind of pathetic to me. Like, why would you say you're 38 years old and you're like saying in front of everyone that you wanted to win this award in May so badly, and that she said that she felt so like torn up and she felt it was really painful for her. It was really difficult for her when she didn't win. And it's just kind of like it reeked of like entitlement at the end of the day, right? Because it's like, why would you say that unless you thought that you deserved this award more than anyone else? Even if you felt like, yeah, it's human, it's normal to feel disappointment, to not get something, not get a prize that you wanted, or to have the outcome be something different than what you imagined in your mind. Sure, everyone goes through that disappointment, but for her to get in front of like the entire group of the cast and crew of the drama, and then including also just other people like me who went just for the lunch, I was like, it kind of raised the first red flag in my mind that, huh, okay, this girl is something else. Like she thought. So I didn't at that time I wasn't trying to judge, you know, because I didn't know the full story yet of how much money she invested in this and how much she spends all her free time like helping the senseis and helping just doing extra miscellaneous tasks for the organization. So like I was trying not to judge, but immediately when she said that, oh my god, you know, I lost the Grand Prix in May and it was so tough for me. I was like, who do you think you are? Like I don't know. Can you it's just okay, can you imagine like an A-list actress who was nominated for an Oscar and then she didn't win? Can you imagine her getting up there at a subsequent award ceremony and saying to everyone that, "Oh my god, this is, you know, I can't believe I won this time. Like, I remember last year I was so heartbroken when I didn't win." Like, no, that's lame, right? And it's also it's indicative of your ego actually at the end of the day that like you thought it was such a guaranteed thing. You thought that it was owed to you to win this award, to the point where you're just like saying it unfiltered in front of a bunch of strangers. I don't know. So that was strange to me. And again, she always had that constipated expression on her face, which I don't feel mean. I don't feel bad about saying after she revealed her true character to me. But anyway, so then we move to October, right, which is the Halloween event. And this is the most like fun, kitschy one that they had so far. This is the one that also a few people skipped out on, I feel like, either because well, there are some girls that are taking part in the contest that don't even live in Tokyo. Like they are flying in from, I think there's one girl from Hokkaido, and there's one that flies in from Fukuoka, and there's one from Osaka. So there's some contests, there are some contestants that don't even live in Tokyo, and I noticed that a lot of those were missing at this Halloween event, because they probably just considered like it's not a big deal, so you might as well save all of your energy and all your money for the big one. But I think the Halloween event also, again, it's kind of like a pay to play type of thing. So if I think the people that participated in the Halloween contest have a better chance of winning the January contest, if not simply for the fact that they showed their face to all the judges and the senseis like one last time closer to the concert. Because the people that didn't participate in October, maybe they only participated in the July competition. So, just based on like human behavior, their face is already like fading from the memory of the judges. Not to sound uh, nihilistic or anything, but okay. So at the Halloween event, Blue, in a kind of total change of strategy and a total sweep, Blue ends up winning the Grand Prix. So the Halloween event didn't have separate Grand Prix for the three different divisions. It was just one total Grand Prix because it was kind of like a costume party type of vibe. So they still kept the kimono, chipao, and hanfu divisions, but as you can imagine, we all took really heavy liberties with our costumes because it was for Halloween. So, I was in the Chipao division, but I dressed up as Ada Wong from Resident Evil. So there was a lot of like really fun costumes and really loose interpretations, right, of the different traditional wear. So Blue has been in China dress, or she's been in the Chipao division with me this entire time, but she switches it up at the Halloween event, and she comes in Hanfu. And not only is she in Hanfu, she is dressed as an elf, and she has this really, really intricate elf makeup on. So actually, I think based on her costume and her performance, I do think that Blue deserved to win the Grand Prix at the Halloween contest. I actually thought, like, the moment that I saw her, she had this really elaborate elf costume, right? Hanfu style, but like she had ears and everything. I don't know if she had prosthetics on, but it was a quite an impressive look that she came up with. And also her dance was very, very, sorry. Her dance was really unique and it left an impression. So I was not surprised at all that she went home with the Grand Prix. Red ends up winning the Japan and China ambassador type award, even though, so this is where I would not blame you if you attended this event and you said to me that this was confirmation that beauty pageants as a whole are just completely rigged. I would not blame you because in Red's case, she actually did her dance wrong the first time around, which I would not have noticed if the sensei didn't call her out on it. So that was kind of really bad. Actually, now looking back, that was kind of a crazy moment because Red, she's in the kimono division, right? So I think she dressed up as, God, I don't even remember, but it was like she was in a kimono, but she had like these furry ears and these paws on. So I think it was some sort of character from an anime, and she did this little dance, right? We all did like a perform. There was like like there's a runway, and then at the end of the stage there is a box. They boxed off a section with tape that we were allowed to do our little dance or our little movements in. So Red did this little dance and she walks off, but then at the end, of the runway portion. After everyone has had their turn to walk down the runway once, the kimono sensei, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like, Red, she's like, I'm sorry, everyone, before we move on to the next section, Red, can you please come to the stage again? And I want you to do that again because I can't believe that we practiced so many times and you still got the dance backwards. This is literally what the kimono sensei says into the microphone. Like, as the kimono sensei is the MC for the Halloween event, right? So she's saying this in front of everyone, in front of all the other contestants and the audience. And if she hadn't said that, I would not have even guessed that Red did her dance backwards. I don't know what's frontwards or backwards, when it comes to other people's performances, but apparently Red did it backwards. Like, she was supposed to face the audience, but she faced the other way instead. So that was shocking to me, actually. Because I can imagine, okay, if it was me, like, I wouldn't care, but I can imagine somebody with Red's mentality, that must have been like a truly embarrassing losing face type of moment for her, right? So she ends up redoing her walk, and she does the dance facing the right direction this time. And then lo and behold, she wins the Japan China Award, which I think in this case it was very clear because the guy that was giving her this award, they already had like some sort of business working relationship before. So I think it was clear from the jump that they always meant to give Red the Japan China Ambassador Award, which I think if it was anyone else, like, wouldn't you expect that if somebody did their dance backwards, or if they made such a huge mistake during their runway portion, wouldn't you expect that they would not receive any prize? Like, they would choose to give the prize to someone else, right? But in this case, she won the prize either way, which I wouldn't blame you if you said that that was proof that the entire thing is rigged. Because, like, yeah, I think in the case of some, okay, I'll say this, maybe some of the words, like, yeah, it's pretty much rigged. Like, they decide the winner beforehand, unless you completely bomb or you're just a no show. I think it's pretty much decided who's gonna win. But I don't know. To me, that was like a bad look for her in her mind. Again, if it was me, I would not really care because I'm not bothered about things like this. So I would be like, oh, thanks. If you want to give me a award anyway, even though I made a mistake on my runway walk portion, I would be like, yeah, whatever, thanks. This is cool. But I think in Red's mind, since she places so much importance on this damn pageant, I think that was like a huge losing face episode for her. So, but nevertheless, she wins the award, right? So she gets to put that on her little pageant resume. And then Ren wins the best performance award. Yes, I did, with my Ada Wong costume from Resident Evil. So at this point, see, Ren also only took one dance lesson between July and October. Because at this point I'm still thinking to myself, like, I'm not trying to invest thousands of dollars like someone did into this pageant and then potentially not even come out with any Grand Prix on the other hand. So I refused to invest anything more than one or maybe two lessons tops. But I think, oh wait, no, I took two lessons. So I went to wait, no, yeah, I went to two lessons. I went to a group lesson and then I took a personal lesson with the Chibao sensei. So there's a kimono sensei and a Chibao sensei, right? And yeah, so I won the best performance award. But if you notice at this point, right, red and blue are kind of head for head. Both have won Grand Prix once, and then both have also won two other smaller awards. But if you think about it time wise, though, Red has been putting more time into this competition than either me or Blue because she joined in February, whereas me and Blue only joined our first event in May. So if you think about it, Blue is kind of ahead of her at this point. And I'm just happy to be involved, right? I'm just happy to get a participation trophy. I'm watching their rivalry from the sidelines with great interest because it's just juicy and it's just like it's live entertainment to me. And I don't feel bad because, like, okay, I don't feel bad for Blue because I know that she's not bothered, so she's not gonna be whatever Red tries to do. I know that Blue is kind of like me. She's probably going to relish in the fact that somebody is so bothered by her existence. So Blue is gonna be fine. mentally speaking. That's why I don't feel bad. And then Red, I feel like she gets whatever is coming to her because she brings all this anguish upon herself. Okay, like nobody asked you to bend over backwards and just sacrifice your entire life and like all of your expendable money, all of your disposable income on this event. Nobody told you that you were guaranteed to get a Grand Prix. So like that's idiotic to me at your big age to get so worked up and feel as though you were cheated somehow. Like that's life, honey, okay? There's always going to be someone if that Chinese model that entered in May into the Qipao competition, stuff like that happens all the time, right? Think about when Ariana Grande was chosen to be Glinda for Wicked. Wasn't there that other actress that came out on TikTok or Instagram Live somewhere crying, saying that she dedicated like an entire year of her life preparing for her audition for Glinda. But then, at that point, I guess she didn't know that Ariana Grande was auditioning for the role as well. And once she found out that Ariana was auditioning, she just felt like her heart dropped to her stomach and she knew that she would never be able to beat out Ariana for the role of Glinda. Even though, like, personally, okay, I think Ariana, talent wise, is very, very qualified for the role of Glinda. And I think, like, you can just tell from God, all the press tours that she and Cynthia Erivo have been doing lately, they look extremely emaciated. I'm sorry to say, but just to be blunt, like they look so skinny and emaciated. You can tell, for better or for worse, that's physical proof right there of how hard both of these ladies have been working for this two-part Wicked movie. So Ariana Grande is absolutely qualified to be Glinda, but it just goes to show though, like if you think about, the fate of that other actress who really wanted to be Glinda so bad, but she realized later that she just could not compete with the machine and the clout behind Ariana Grande. Yeah, that's life, right? That's why you need to that's why it's so important, especially as a woman, to unlearn this programming that they have infused in all of us since birth, that we need to do certain things or follow a certain script in order to be accepted by society. Like, unlearn all of that and learn strategy for yourself, okay? Learn how to position yourself in the best spot possible in whatever arena that you're playing on. That's the only way. Like, if you want to win, or if you want to come out at least being in a better position than you were when you started, strategy is the only thing that you should be focused on. You should not be attaching any sort of emotions or notions of your self-worth on any of these like man-made constructs, or beauty pageants, whether it's a beauty pageant or it's a coveted role in a really popular musical, whatever stage that you're quote unquote competing on. Like, it's a you're setting yourself up for like depression and having a mental breakdown if you don't learn how to separate your own sense of self-worth from the outcome in the 3D, okay, of whatever arena you're playing in. It's fine to feel disappointment in the moment as just like a natural human emotion that we feel whenever something doesn't go the way that we anticipated it going, or if we don't get the outcome that we desire. That's fine, but never ever internalize it, okay? But like I said, at this point, I don't feel bad for Red because I feel like she brought this all onto herself. And at this point, I feel like she chooses to stay in this mentality because she feels like she's clinging on to this idea that the patriarchy and society is still gonna reward her as long as she just continues riding this train of respectability until the wheels fall off. She feels like she will get what she deserves. She'll be rewarded with the Grand Prix in the end. And guess what? That's not guaranteed, honey. Okay, nothing in life is guaranteed. The world doesn't owe you anything, really. And Blue also, like other people, other newcomers into the organization, um, they don't owe you. They don't have to bow down to you just because you perceive to like have higher status due to your seniority by being here longer than us. No, 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 no. It's not about that, okay? But yeah, so now, okay, I'm trying to remember. So I went to lunch with her shortly after the Halloween competition, right? And that was our first one-on-one lunch together. So it was more of like a service level meeting. Like she seemed at that point pretty chill to me still, but there was always something in the back of my mind that okay, I felt uneasy about like why is this 38-year-old woman so pressed about winning this really niche competition that like yes, it costs a lot of money. I don't know, but I actually don't think the money part is what's driving this obsession in her. I feel like it's some sort of insecurity. I think she's trying to yeah, I think she's essentially just trying to get validation from this competition. Like maybe, I don't know. I don't want to assume, but maybe she feels like this is kind of like her last window. You know, she's in her late 30s. So I'm getting into her mind now. This is not what I believe personally, but I think from her perspective, I totally can see her thinking that, oh, this is like my last little window of opportunity before I'm considered an older woman, right? Like I'm still in my 30s. I still qualify to be in the Miss portion of this competition because the kimono and China dress competition, the Miss division is up until age 40. That's the cutoff, which is quite generous, right? Because, you know, for Miss Universe, the cutoff is 28. So it's generous that they would give us until 40. But I think they also, like, that's also a business strategic decision as well, because that attracts more participants who will then more pay for participation fees and possibly hopefully give more money to the organization in the form of lesson fees and things like that. But yeah, I think in her mind, she feels like this is her last chance to kind of like get recognized on, you know, a grandiose level, like on an actual stage in an official competition. If she is able to win the Grand Prix while she's still in her 30s, which she's not going to be for that much longer, then I feel like in her mind, this is like confirmation that she has value as a woman, right? Um, and I'm sorry, but I'm at the point where I don't even have sympathy anymore for women with that type of mentality. Maybe if you're younger, okay, maybe if you're like in your early 20s or something, yes, I have empathy for you. But at 38, at your big age, if you didn't learn your lesson by now about how being complicit with the patriarchy and being complicit with misogynistic ideals, if you didn't learn by 38 that that helps no one, least of all yourself as a woman, then you can't be saved as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, I believe she gets everything that's she deserves coming at her. I don't think she's gonna win. I don't want her to win the kimono division. I don't think she deserves it, honestly. I think that award has to go to somebody who is not so focused on outside validation. Because the definition of a beauty queen, like it's not all about looks and outside perception. You have to have integrity with yourself. You have to be a genuine person. Like the things that you talk about in your speech, it has to be something that you are genuinely passionate about, okay? Whether or not other people approve, like you have to have the courage to speak your truth. And then the people who value that, they will find you and they will find a way to reward you for it. You understand what I mean? So even like, for example, if I wanted to win the Grand Prix for the Chi Pao division, which of course everyone who is entering in this contest wants to win, but I look at it more from the standpoint as like, okay, first of all, I don't want to win because of any desperation for validation from the outside. The biggest reason, I'm going to tell you the biggest reason for why I would want to win, which is very, very, it's a very pragmatic reason, actually. I just want to get a fair return on the monetary investment that I've put in so far. Because I just feel like it would kind of suck that I spent all this money and I didn't keep in mind I didn't even spend like a fraction of the money that Red has spent so far on lessons and stuff. I take maybe one or two lessons in between each competition, and that's enough for me. Okay, that's as much as I'm willing to spend money wise on this. But yeah, I just want to get a return on my investment. That's the way that I look at it. I don't look I have zero consideration for like whether or not this is going to confirm that I'm actually beautiful now or that I'm worthy. No, no, no. Like social proof, yeah, I can see how like that would be helpful for me too. I mean, if I say that, oh, I'm a beauty queen, like I won this obscure niche pageant that nobody cares about outside of the Chinese and Japanese community here in Tokyo. But no, like it would be a cool thing. It would be cute to put in my Instagram bio. Sure, sure. I don't mind the clout that comes with that. And also, if it inspires men to fly me out to places and buy more expensive gifts for me, I welcome that, right? But the main driver for me to actually win the physical award is that I just want to have something to show for the money that I put into it, not even the effort, right? Because the effort, like the actual effort, the practicing of my walk and like making sure I'm in physically fit condition, making sure that I get my 10,000 steps in every day and that I'm not like veering too far off of a balanced diet. I don't see that as like if I did all of that, which I continue to do, like this beauty pageant has had positive impacts in the way that I just take care of myself physically from day to day. I see that as a net positive for my entire life. So even if I don't win the Grand Prix, I don't see it as like, oh, I wasted all that time getting my 10,000 steps in and getting my diet right. No, I'm like, I take the gains from changing my active lifestyle and from changing my eating habits for the better. I take the gains and the benefits of that whether or not I win the Grand Prix, right? I can take that with me forever for the rest of my life. So I don't think of anything. The only thing that like, it does kind of hurt is money because I don't have like an unlimited or an astronomical uh pool of money to pull from for this contest. So that's the only part where I kind of feel like, okay, if I won the Grand Prix, at least it would be kind of justification for the money that I spent on this contest so far. But aside from the money, like nothing else that I put into this contest, I don't consider it to be a waste if I don't win the Grand Prix because I still got great pictures of myself at the end of the day. I still was able to wear chi pao, which I don't get much of an opportunity in any other part of my life to wear, right? Like this is kind of the only type of event that I had the opportunity to wear so many different types of chi pao. Yeah, I still get great pictures out of it. I make great connections. I was able to attend a bunch of fun events. I was able to meet new people. What do I lose? The only thing in my mind, and this is also still just a block that eventually I will work through as well, but the only thing right now that I kind of feel like, okay, I can't really justify that is the amount of money that I spent, right, on like personal lessons, which again is not even a fraction of what Red has spent so far this entire year on this pageant. So I, again, at the end of the day, I think my mentality is definitely my strongest point in this entire thing. Even though I have glass skin, all right, even though I look 26, 25, even though waist is snatched, body is T. Yes, I know, I know. I have so much going for me. But at the end of the day, even aside from all of that, I still feel like my mindset is absolutely my strongest asset in this entire thing. But no, so let me tell you what Red said about Blue at our last meeting, okay? So she was like, okay, basically like Red has been used to being the teacher's pet this entire time. She told me that she's very close to the kimono sensei. She got remember she got that Chinese model blacklisted from participating in other pageants because not because okay, she said that the Chinese model did not acknowledge her when she walked into the when Red walked into the dressing room and said hi to her and tried to be nice. The Chinese model straight up ignored her, right? I trust that story. I trust it. Okay, so and also like the Chinese model also had a history of other interactions with people, such as the kimono sensei when she kind of turned her nose up at the kimono sensei's suggestion to walk a certain way, and the Chinese model told her like, "Oh no, I don't like that way of walking. I'm gonna do it my own way." So the kimono sensei definitely also had it out for this girl as well, but she had a pattern of bad behavior, so that part I understand. But how stupid do you think I am, though, to buy that that's the only reason Red decided to complain about her? She wanted to get that girl out permanently so that she could eliminate competition, because Red still wanted a chance to win the Grand Prix in the future, right? So if she gets the professional model out of the organization, if she gets her blacklisted, that makes it so much easier for her to win Grand Prix the next time. So I 100% believe that Red just, yes, on one hand, I think the Chinese model kind of deserved it because she did have a pattern of bad attitude, not just with Red, but with other people. But two things can be right at the same time, right? So I believe that Red definitely had a vendetta against this girl, and she used her, she exploited her privilege as kind of the right hand woman of the kimono sensei in order to get her complaint about the Chinese model heard by the higher ups in the organization, and then eventually they kicked her out. Which, again, I think if you're gonna have a bad attitude, I don't miss you either. But the fact that Red, it's kind of insane, right? The way that Red admitted all of this stuff to me, like, it tells you how much, I guess, she trusts me, and she thinks that, yeah, like, she sees me as an ally, which kind of gives me the ick. Like, I want to distance myself from all of them at this point. I like watching the drama unfold, but I don't want to be in the middle of the drama, right? And they could not pull me in drama if they tried, okay? Because I don't even play that shit. But yeah, um, I think like Red really wants to see me as an ally now, and it grosses me out because I know like she only sees me, she sees me as an ally, but it's tainted with her idea that, like, I feel like she wants to use me to get back at Blue, since me and Blue are both competing. I'm not competing with anyone except myself, but we're both contestants in the cheap out division. So I get this sense lately that Red, like, she's been telling me directly to my face. She's like, "You know what, Ren, I want you to win the Grand Prix. Like, I want you to beat her." These are literally her words. She's like, "I want you to beat Blue." And I'm like, "Okay, I want to win, for my own reasons, mainly just because like I want to win the prize money so that I can justify, so that I can break even on the money that I spent on listens so far. Like, that would actually make me happy. That would make me feel, at ease because I still have blocks around money. That's it for me, right? I don't need it for confirmation that I'm beautiful or that I look good in a cheap how or that I'm desirable to men, to women, whatever. Like, I do not need a public award to say that to me. I already want, all right? I already have a YouTube channel of, I have several loyal followers that were with me since day one. I do whatever the fuck I want. I go to Dubai whenever I want. I work in my dream industry. Like, I work for a company that people would die to work for. I'm like living, the best of both worlds, or the best, anywhere that I want to go, anything that I want to challenge myself with, I just go for it, right? Because I don't have blocks around like what I can or can't do based on how is this going to get me perceived as a woman, and are people going to judge me? Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that, and that's on period. But yeah, so Red was saying that, like, once she felt safer and safer enough to tell me about how all her grievances against Blue. Okay, let's tally up. Okay, so far she got the Chinese model blacklisted from the organization, right? Then later on, she tells me, so this is another piece of lore that I did not learn until after the fact. I was so clueless, in May, because this is the first competition I ever took part in. So I had no idea what was going on in the background. For me, this was just fun. I got to wear that lime green qipao, which was like a really unique color, I thought, and everybody loved it. And they told me that, oh my god, that qipao is so like unique and it just stands out. Like now every time I see you, I imagine you in that lime green color. And I feel like, it really matched my style and my makeup and everything. So that was what I was focused on in May, right? But apparently, okay, apparently, oh wait, no. So the next time in July, um, so for the July competition, that's when, oh wait, no, yeah. For the July competition, Red switched from Qipao to kimono, right? So then she used the organization's services because the organization also has like makeup artists and hair people that they employ if people want to book appointments to get their hair and makeup done on the day of, if they want to book it through the organization, which is like super expensive. I've never done it through the organization. That's why I always do my own makeup, and I might get my hair done at a local salon for like 5,000 yen or something. But if you book it through the organization, it's really, really expensive. It's like 20,000 or 30,000 yen because they do like a full makeup and full hair set. So since Red was in the kimono division in July, she has to have somebody dress her, right? Because you cannot put on a kimono by yourself. It's way too complicated. There's so many layers. I know firsthand now because I actually wore a kimono with Red this past weekend. I went to this event that Red's kimono school was holding on Kimono Day, which is an actual holiday here in Japan. And they had this event where we all dressed in kimono and we took a walk in the national park garden thing in Shinjuku. Oh my god, what is it called? Shinjuku Gyoen, the national park. And like, yeah, I mean, I knew that it was complicated, but I actually never wore a kimono up until now. So Red was the one that dressed me, and I'm gonna put a short vlog of it up later. It's very, very complicated. There are so many layers and so many like intricate details that you have to get just right in order to create like the perfect shape. So you cannot do that by yourself, right? So Red paid the organization for an appointment to have someone dress her kimono, and I guess like different people also for face and for hair and makeup. But on the day of the competition, come to find out, the person that was dressing her for the kimono was not just some other like professional kimono dresser that the organization hired. It was actually a fellow contestant. Are you following? So there's a girl who I don't think she's could be any older than 30 years old. She is one of the contestants in this pageant, and she also takes part in the drama. But I don't remember. I think she was in China dress. I think she was in the cheap out division with me. But this girl's Japanese, right? And she holds a kimono dressing certificate apparently. So because of that, she was kind of like semi hired by the organization for kimono dressing services. Again, when I heard this, I was kind of surprised because I feel like, isn't that a conflict of interest? Like, shouldn't you, if you're a contestant, shouldn't you not be receiving the money from the organization for anything else? You shouldn't. But anyway, apparently she was. So on the day of the competition, Red goes in. She's expecting, this like random other professional kimono dresser, but it turns out to be this girl. We'll just call her S. Okay. So S shows up and she's like, oh, hey, it's me. I'm going to be dressing you for your kimono today because I have a certificate and stuff. So then Red is a little taken back by this because she was expecting like an older, maybe professional, like truly professional, seasoned veteran kimono dresser. But it turns out to be S. So she was like, okay, you know what? Fine. I trust her if she has a certificate. And if this is the person that the organization kind of like hired to do this, then I'll trust it. Right. But apparently S dressed her the wrong way. So, okay, I am not a professional kimono dresser, so don't come for me. I don't remember the exact details, but it's very particular the way that you're supposed to dress a kimono. Like, for example, the fabric is supposed to drape in a certain direction. Let me see if I can look at my photo. I should know this. Okay, yeah. So you see, this was me in kimono. I don't think I look good in kimono, to be honest with you. Like, I found out last Saturday that I don't really have the body type for a kimono. But you see how I don't know if it's flipped on the screen, but the robe, the left side of the robe is wrapped around on the outside, right? So the left side is on the outside. That's how it's supposed to be. But apparently, when S dressed red for the July competition, she put the right flap of the kimono on top by accident, which is a no-no because that's yeah, that's not how you're supposed to dress a kimono. So in addition to that, she also was not able to tie a proper bow or like a fancy bow in the way that Red wanted, which Red is the customer in this case, actually, right? So I think she was actually justified in being very upset about this, especially considering that she paid like 20,000, 30,000 yen for this service on the day of the competition. So not only did S get the direction of the draping of the kimono completely wrong, she also was unable to do the fancy bow that S requested. She only did like a plain normal bow in the back. Let me show you what a fancy bow looks like. So like for me on kimono day, do I have a picture? Oh, this is a good one. They tied the obi in the back in this really intricate way. And this is actually like this is not a pre-made bow. This is literally just, the obi, which is the large belt for the kimono. It's just this huge long rectangular piece of fabric, and they actually like a seasoned a well-trained expert kimono dresser is able to do different types of bows and embellishments like this, right? From just that long thin piece of fabric. I have no idea how you would even get to that level. But yeah, but S apparently she's supposed to have a kimono certificate, right? Like she called herself a promotion. She said that she was a professional. She was professionally trained to dress kimono. So come to find out, that's kind of questionable considering that she draped Red's kimono the wrong way and she was unable to do a fancy bow. So now it makes sense because like yeah, now that I think back on it, Red did look kind of stressed and upset. Although she always looks stressed and upset, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like I told you, she looks like she has a permanent constipated expression on her face. Like she's always just permanently frowning and permanently like not for, like she has like a permanently worried face like this. You see, when I do this, naturally I have a line in the middle of my forehead, right? So I feel like her face is permanently like this. It's not that she looks old necessarily because I'm not talking about the condition of her skin or anything. It's just like her expression and you can see she wears her worry on her face. You can tell that she's just like weighed down and burdened by all of these inconsequential things that she herself is just giving more weight to than is necessary. But anyway, so okay, rightfully so, Red is upset about the kimono fiasco, right? Because she's about to go on stage in a couple minutes, and this girl who was supposed to be a professional, it was promised to her by the organization that she was going to get dressed by a professional, and this girl just completely like ruined her kimono and didn't even give her the bow that she wanted. And then luckily she said that she bumped into another kimono contestant in the kimono division who was with her friend who was not competing in the competition, but her friend was able to help Red fix her kimono, right? But at this point, the girl S had completely disappeared and she kind of like just shirked responsibility. Like she kind of disappeared and hoped that it would go away, I think. So I think later on, Red complained to the organization about this experience and she was able to get her money refunded for the kimono dressing fee. But after that, you can imagine things are weird between S and Red now, right? Like S avoids Red now and Red feels some type of way about S. So then most recently, Red is now developing another issue with the girl Blue, who is in the Chipao division. Blue is a very outgoing personality type. After our photo session in the traditional Japanese house, we all went to dinner together with the kimono sensei, right? I think it was a group of 6 or 8 girls in total. And there was a point in the conversation where Blue was talking about how big her boobs are, right? And like I'm laughing because like honestly, okay, it was kind of surprising. Yes, like I didn't expect her to talk about that, but it was also a more relaxed atmosphere. You know, it was basically the after party to our photo session in the traditional Japanese house. And also, the kimono sensei didn't seem like, you know, she's not a prude, right? Like she has definitely high standards for certain things, but the kimono sensei definitely is not a prude. So, yeah, there was a point in the conversation where Blue is basically just holding court. Like, she is, this girl likes to be, I think she likes to be the queen bee, right? But so far, it hasn't really impacted me personally. So, you know, I don't have a problem with it because I recognize hot girl energy when I see it, and I don't have a problem with another woman being free and like openly bubbly and just enjoying her life. You know, I don't have a problem with other people with other women enjoying their life. Okay, and I don't have a problem with other women using all of their advantages at their disposal to get ahead in life, as long as they're not, you know, like actively hurting someone else. I feel like it's fair game, and it's a waste of time to like measure yourself against another woman based on respectability politics. But yeah, so Blue is saying how like her, oh, we were talking about how um certain people have a lot smaller appetites than other people, and Blue was saying that, you know, I think Blue and me are similar in the sense that like we wish we could eat more because there's just so much delicious food everywhere, and especially if we go out to these big group outings, you want to eat, like you want to get your money's worth of whatever course you're paying for, but our stomachs can only handle so much, right? And this is true for me as well. Like I love to eat, but I I find that like I can never eat the average amount that other people usually eat. And I cannot even drink a whole glass of water or oolong tea or something without feeling bloated and not having any room left for food. So we were talking about that, and Blue was saying the same thing. She was like, "Yeah, you know, I wish I could eat more, but honestly, I get full so easily, and um when I'm at home by myself, I barely eat anything because I just can't keep it down." And I don't like, to me, this is, you could say that you could accuse her of humble bragging, but to me, this is not really a humble brag. It's just I personally experience it as well. So it is a thing, you know, like if your stomach doesn't hold that much capacity, that, and if you're a foodie at the same time, like what are you supposed to do? It is kind of an annoying experience because you want to eat more. And then sometimes like we have to plan in advance. Like if we're going to have a big dinner on a certain day, tomorrow actually I'm having a dinner with the other members of like the IT team at my company. It's kind of for Bonenkai, which is an end of the year party tradition here in Japan. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to this Brazilian steakhouse where there's going to be a lot of meat. So I'm probably not going to eat anything else tomorrow. I'm probably just going to have like, if I'm craving something, I'll get uh like a sweet drink from Starbucks, but I'm not going to eat any solids until our dinner at 6 p.m. because I know that I'm not going to be able to fully enjoy myself at the dinner if I stuff myself like at lunch beforehand, right? So I can relate with Blue when she was talking about how annoying this is. Like every time that she plans to go eat in a big group outing, it's just annoying, and it feels like we're not getting our money's worth because we're only able to eat so much. But then she was also saying that like her boobs are so huge no matter how little she eats or something. So she was like, "Yeah, you know, my boobs are really it's true. They are actually really big." I was actually wondering if they were fake the first time that I met her, but I know that like boob jobs are not really such a common thing here in Japan. So I was wondering, um because she does have a small frame, But at the same time, that body type definitely does exist. Like there are more Asian girls than I know. The stereotype is that Asian girls are like flat as board, but there are a certain class of Asian girls that have like big boobs and just that part of their body stays big. It doesn't matter if the rest of their body gets thin or large. I think me, like I have big boobs for my frame, but they will shrink or grow bigger depending on if I'm thinner or more filled out overall. But yeah, Blue was just talking about how like her boobs are huge no matter what. And she was like, yeah, like at one point I was looking at myself in the mirror and I just look like Evangelion, you know? You guys know the characters from Evangelion, right? That's what she's referencing. Like the anime characters with the comically large boobs and the tiny little stick legs and stick arms. She was like, that's what I looked like. And so, but it was funny, right? And I didn't think, like me, I don't think anything of that. I think that's funny conversation. But apparently, Red was really bothered, or just in general, she's bothered by this way that Blue tends to communicate and hold court with the other group members in the pageant. And she was so bothered by this that we started talking about how I have text messages with her. I don't know if I want to read them out loud, but she was basically talking about how Blue mentioned that for her work, basically she's like a freelance tour operator for like high class luxury clients. I don't know if it's inbound or outbound, but yeah, she's in the travel industry, right? So like she has luxury clients that come to her to design customized tour packages of Japan or maybe other countries as well. Because I think she recently went to China and that was also part of like a trip with one of her clients. So then Red expresses her displeasure to me at our recent dinner together about how Blue, she didn't like the fact that like Blue was talking. She was like, "Oh, I was so shocked that Blue was just talking about how big her boobs are at dinner." And then I was kind of laughing like, "Okay, I mean, maybe it's not the best look, but at the same time, the kimono sensei didn't seem to feel offended or affected by it. And if she does end up winning based on her boobs, I guess more power to her. And that's also going to reveal what the organization is looking for. Like if the girl with the biggest boobs wins the competition, then we know what the organization or what the pageant judges value, right? That's the only thing that's the only takeaway that you should be taking away. That's the only takeaway that you should get from this. If Blue hypothetically wins in January. So to me, that's like, okay, cool. Another piece of information. Or like, okay, confirmation that they give precedence to girls with big boobs or with more erotic shaped bodies or whatever. Like, I would just take that as a neutral piece of information to file away in my cabinet for further reference, in case I need to pull out the receipts one day. But like, and I would not like, I don't take that personally whatsoever. I'd just be like, oh, okay, so they like girls with big boobs, or it's like the Sydney Sweeney effect, right? She was really known for her assets, like, and she plays into the fact that that's a big selling point for her, and she seems to not be ashamed of it. She seems to be leaning into it. So whatever, good for her. And that's what Hollywood values, sex sells. I don't see what the big deal is here, right? Like I don't take any of this personally. I actually I agree with using pretty privilege to your advantage as a woman, and I don't take it personally, right? Because I already do it. I do it in my own way. Every girl has her own flavor of how she benefits from pretty privilege, because we're all different, right? So like with me, I don't have exactly the biggest boobs in the world. I have decent sized boobs, but I feel like, overall I have a really nice hourglass shape, and I have like other assets that I like to highlight, and I have no shame in highlighting them as well. Would I brag about them loudly at the dinner table? Not necessarily, but that, again, that's not because I think I'm like so classy that I would never. It's just I don't feel the need to do that. I don't feel yeah, like I'm chill. I don't like to talk about, I don't like to make a big show at dinners and stuff. I like to just be chill and genuine, and I think that's what attracts people to me initially anyway. So, but it's not because I think I'm better than Blue. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm above her or that I have like better social decorum just because she talked about her boobs in public and I didn't. But anyway, Red, however, definitely has a different sentiment towards this, right? She definitely sees this as like, oh my god, Blue is so low class. She said there's nothing in her head, right? She used the word atama karapo in Japanese, like nothing going on in her head. She's an airhead. And I told her I was trying to keep it lighthearted, right? So I was like, because I'm not bothered by any of this in the slightest. So I was like, well, if Blue wins in January, then that'll be our answer as to what this organization values or what they look for in their beauty queens. And then Red was like, well, anyway, it's not a gravure contest. So, like, I don't think she deserves to win. Gravure, you guys know, is kind of like a soft porn style photography here in Japan. Like soft porn models, they wear bikinis and stuff. They don't show full nudity, but they wear like bikinis and sexually suggestive clothing and poses and things like that. So, like, Blue has a gravure type body, right? Which is great. I mean, use your assets, girl, in any way that you can. But Red is really bothered by it, right? Because she thinks that you're not supposed to get rewarded for that. Again, internalized misogyny. I don't F with that. Okay, but still up until this point, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can empathize with Red still. I can empathize with the fact that she just didn't feel comfortable with Blue talking about such a, I guess, explicit subject at dinner time. But then, so we get on the topic of Blue's profession, right? Which is, again, a freelance travel operator, I guess, or like tour operator. And then Red was like, I really find it so suspicious that she only has like 2 or 3 clients, or 2 or 3 tour packages that she organizes per month, and she's able to afford like her entire lifestyle, which is not an extravagant lifestyle, by the way. But I think she was basically just referring to the fact that Blue sometimes uses brand name cosmetics, like I don't know. Blue recently went to China to do a bunch of like Hanfu photo shoots, the ones that are trending right now in Chongqing and stuff. That's what Blue went to do. But I think it was also like, it was part of one of her tours that she organized for a client. Anyway, I don't care. Okay. I don't, whatever you have to do to get your money, I literally don't care. Just make sure that you don't get caught. Okay. Make sure that on the books it's legal. I don't want any girls to like suffer at the hands of the system any more than we already do. But yeah, so Blue went to China and she did a bunch of like photo shoots. And then I remember on one of her stories, she showed the new Chanel makeup collection for winter. I forget the name, like Nui something. The quad with all the blues and the purples. Yeah, she had that and like a couple of other Chanel items. Like the way she wrote the caption, I don't know if she was trying to suggest that like her sugar daddy bought it for her, or maybe her wealthy client gave it to her as kind of like an add-on bonus. Either way, sometimes she makes posts like that where she's getting like brand name goods. She doesn't live in like some luxury mansion or anything like that, but she has a few expensive things here and there. So I think like Red was super suspicious of that, which, first of all, girl, why are you so worried about like what luxury items another girl is getting, or where the source of her income is coming from? Like, why do you care? But she was like, yeah, I just find it suspicious that she only has like 3 major clients a month, and yet she's able to afford like such a high quality of life, or she's able to, afford all these trips and expensive cosmetics and things like that. I really think like because I also worked as a hostess when I was like in university. This is Red. So so this is another added layer of irony. The fact that Red was admitting to me that she had a short stint working as a hostess in a club in her her early 20s when she was still in university, to help her like pay off, I don't know if it was to help pay off loans or anything, but it was like a short stint that she did to make money while she was a university student. And it's very common here, right? So And like, okay, the reason that we got on this topic is that we started to joke amongst a couple of the girls, not just me and Red, but even Blue also was in on this joke that we should all just open like a hostess club under the name of this organization so that we can earn enough money to pay for their ridiculous classes and events and stuff, because we were all kind of feeling like the weight of the cost of some of these events. So yeah, at one point we were just like, especially after I think after the Halloween party, I made a comment once after dinner, because I had dinner with a couple of the girls after the Halloween event, and I was still in my China dress because I'm not the kind of person, like, I'm not gonna lug around a whole suitcase with me all over Tokyo just to like change on Halloween. You know, like, I'm just gonna wear my Ava Wong costume, and I was wearing a coat on top of it anyway because it was already chilly by that point. So like, I have no problem sitting in the izakaya that we went to in my Ada Wong cosplay, and I was in. So I made a comment that, I feel like I'm ready to just start clocking for my second shift at a hostess bar or somewhere, and I need the money too. So actually, I'm joking, but not really. Like, if I had the opportunity, maybe I would go for it, because um these lesson prices are not it. Like, that's what we were talking about. So then, yeah, so then it was like a running inside joke between us for some time, and even me and Red were like, oh yeah, we should like pick up some hours as a hostess on the weekends or something. And then but then, right, it was all fun and games until she turned around and tried to use that and tried to like weaponize that line of reasoning against Blue, because she was like, I actually think, like, it's just suspicious that I don't think that it's possible that Blue could make enough money with just 2 or 3 clients per month for like for travel agency services. I think that she's probably doing prostitution as well on the side, or like as a part of the package. She literally, like, this is word for word what she said out of her mouth. And it was at that point that I was like, oh, you really aren't shit. Like, not only is this hyper hypocritical, like the fact that Red said that she was like, well, no, because I recognize the signs, because I also, like, it's been over 15 years, but I also was in that industry very shortly. Like, when I was in my early 20s, I worked as a hostess for a short amount of time, so like I can tell when girls are doing like something else on the side. I'm like, first of all, okay, you know why this, aside from the fact that, like, I just on principle, if you are a non-male centered woman, okay, if you love yourself, if you love women, I don't even need to explain to you what is so problematic about this line of thinking. But on a personal level as well, it did trigger me a lot, because it reminds me of like when people think that I go to Dubai in order to like be an escort to rich men over there, when in actuality I literally like pay for my own flight and hotel, and men just come up to me, and like, men approach me all the time when I'm in Dubai. So naturally, I'm going to take them up on their offer. And like, why would I spend mine when I can spend his, right? So if there's men, approaching me, I'm very popular over there because there's not many East Asian girls, especially ones that look like me, that are, I don't know what you would call it, like an ideal, like, I'm there's a lot of like 10 out of 10, Russian, Eastern European type girls in Dubai, and of course Arabic girls, like Middle Eastern girls, but you rarely see like a 10 out of 10 um East Asian looking girl like me over there. So I'm very popular just based on like scarcity alone, right? So I can have a different man pay for every part of my trip in Dubai, no problem, without having to give anything to them, really. Like, not even, sometimes I'll just give them a light hug, if they send me to the airport, but I don't have to do anything, right? And especially like the laws over there, like the culture is so strict that men would not dare to, try anything physical in public, at least, and they would never get a chance to be anywhere with me in private, because I only do public things with men if they invite me. Like, I'll only go to dinner or to lunch, or I'll let them drive me somewhere. But yeah, so like, it reminds me of like that's literally like what I do when I go to Dubai, and I don't go to Dubai for that purpose. I go to Dubai because I like the city, okay, and I like meeting up with my girlfriends over there too. But I use the guys to help supplement my expenses because why not if they're going to offer. Sometimes they're not even worth the energy, right? Sometimes I'd rather just pay the money to get an Uber so that I can have like peace and quiet and not have this guy hounding me all the time and pinging me every 2 seconds on my WhatsApp. But yeah, like it reminds me of people that think that it's like people who assume that there's no way that I can visit Dubai this often unless I have some rich sugar daddy paying for me the whole time. Which, first of all, like I wish, okay, I like I wish I had a sugar daddy that would just pay for everything without expecting anything from me in return. And sadly, it rarely works like that. But it happens. So I'm keeping my mind open. But and I just yeah, I don't appreciate it when other women especially try to use that against me or other girls that look like me just because we're hot and confident and we're not ashamed of like using our beauty to get men to pay for us or whatever. It's actually not us getting the men to pay for us. It's the men come to us with an agenda of wanting to sleep with us or be in proximity with us, and therefore I'm just turning it back on them. Okay, so it's not me like going after or at manipulating anyone. Actually, it's the men try to manipulate us, and we're just throwing that game in their face. Okay, let's get that straight first of all. But yeah, I don't appreciate that type of thinking at all. So like regardless of whether or not Blue is doing work, spicy work on the side, which I actually I'm not even convinced that that's what's happening. Like why is it so hard to believe that she can live off of 2 or 3 luxury bookings with a client every month if she's a independent travel operator? I don't know anything about the industry, by the way, so like, but it's very believable to me that if you have luxury clients, right, like the ones that are willing to pay top dollar for a premium experience in Japan or whatever your area of expertise. I think she maybe specializes in other Asian countries as well. Like why is that so hard to believe that you can make a decent living out of 2 or 3 clients per month, first of all? And second of all, even if she was doing spicy work on the side, like, okay, and like what's your point? You're saying that she's worth less or that she's not qualified to be in this beauty pageant because she does what she has to do to make a living? Like, I don't appreciate that at all, regardless of even my personal feelings towards Blue, which, my feeling is that I don't trust her 100% for sure. I feel like she definitely she's definitely trying to play the social game right now. Like she is cozying up to the kimono sensei a lot. And she's trying to be the queen bee, right, of the entire group. But so far, between Red and Blue, honestly, I have more respect for Blue. Because at least Blue is playing the game and she's not taking anything personally. And she's not approaching this from a standpoint of like, oh, I'm owed anything, or like I'm owed the Grand Prix just because I was a goody two shoes and I did everything right and I spent over $2,000. So I'm the one that should go home with a prize. Like Blue knows that this is a dog eat dog world, and if you want something, you got to go out there and take it, okay? By any means possible. And if somebody has a problem with your, like, okay, her tactics, we'll say like her social climbing tactics, yeah, they're gonna be irksome to someone like Red. Oh my god, this burns. Sorry, I gotta get another contact. Like, yeah, of course it's gonna annoy you, but like, why should Blue change her strategy of social climbing just to please you, Red? Because you think you have seniority? Blue doesn't have any loyalty towards you. She doesn't owe you anything. I don't owe you anything either. You don't owe me anything. Like, we're all grown women here. So that really turned me off, right? And then later on, I noticed that, like, see, I'm so good at reading bitches, especially basic ass bitches who are still who are still mentally trapped. I'm so good at like clocking their psychology from a mile away that I almost, oh crap, this is like not the same contact. I don't know if you can see, but I picked a different, this one is like lighter than this one. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah. I'm really good at clocking basic bitch psychology. So this is the point where I started to feel like, you know what? Okay, so after she felt safe enough to kind of like confide in me all of her grievances about Blue and how much she can't stand Blue, she started to be really she no longer minced her words about Blue, right? So she started to just really call her all types of names like, oh, she's so disgusting, she has like nothing to offer, she's not and then she started to say, then that when she turned her when she felt like free enough to say, to talk about how much she didn't like Blue, she then turned her attention to how, oh, but you, Ren, like you are worldly and sophisticated. You meet all the requirements, like all the arbitrary requirements that Red decided in her head that someone has to meet in order to win the Grand Prix. She was like, yeah, actually, like I'm rooting for you, Ren. I want you to beat her. And that made me feel so icky because I was like, okay, I want to win, but like not so that you can vicariously get back at Blue or get one over on Blue. Like I want to win on my terms for like my own agenda, you know, which is not has nothing to do with getting external validation from some obscure organization. It's more just about like, you know, proving that like it would be a nice I always use this term, it would just be a nice way to close the loop on this whole experience and manifestation. If I, you know, went on this whole journey and then at the end of the day I have this cute little trophy to show for it. Like that would just be a nice little wrapped up in a bow story. And it would be a good way to comp some of the money that I've invested so far in the lessons and stuff. Because I think there's like it's not a huge prize. I think it's only $1,000, but yeah, the Grand Prix winner gets $1,000 and a bunch of other little things like products from our sponsors and things like that. So that would be cool to win like $1,000 because then I could at least say that I broke even on the money that I invested in this event, and that would just make me feel good from like a financially responsible standpoint, right? But that's pretty much, you know, I have my own reasons, like my spiritual reasons for wanting to win the Grand Prix. Or I don't even want to say want. It's just like it would be nice, right? You know, Neville Goddard's technique. Wouldn't it be nice if I won? That's how I'm approaching this. But like the moment that Red started to um like the moment that Red confessed to me her real feelings about Blue, she started to like aggressively talk about how, okay, but now like you have to win this, Ren. And I was like, okay, wait, don't put this heavy energy. Like I don't want her to put her weird vindictive energy against Blue onto me. Like do not get that far away from me, okay? Do not put that on me for this contest. I'm not in this contest for you or anyone else. It's just me against myself over here. And like I noticed when I said this to her, when I said that, oh, you know, well, I am not in competition with anyone except myself. I noticed that she didn't like agree or nod in the affirmative. She was just kind of like, oh, like her reaction told me that, oh, okay, so you're not even there yet with your mindset. When I said that I'm in competition with no one else but myself, she was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I could see like she was trying to, you know, act normal and act natural, but I could see the hesitation in her eyes. And that told me all I needed to know about where this bitch's mentality was. So I could tell that I clocked that she wasn't like, she didn't buy or subscribe to that belief. She definitely subscribes to the belief that like your worth and your status is determined by a panel of judges outside of yourself. So that's completely different from my own philosophy and my own value system. But yeah, she was like, "Oh, I want you to win now." And like, yeah, you have like A B C D, um you're classy, you're this, you're that, you're Ivy League educated, you're like truly bilingual, so you deserve this award more. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I am all of those things, but like I reject, okay, this energy that she's coming with that like she approves of me because I check all these boxes in her mind, right? And I'm like, okay, but I didn't do all of those things for you to approve of me. You understand? Like those things, some of them are honestly just like I was lucky to be born into the circumstances that I'm in. But like, the fact that I went to an Ivy League, or I also work in IT corporate like you, we both work in Ginza, right? So she's like, oh, Ren is you're on my level, right? But my thing is like, okay, I don't give a fuck about whether or not you deem me to be on your level or not. The same way that Blue doesn't give a fuck what you think about her. So this is where me and Blue, I feel like, kind of have a uh I don't want to say kinship, but like we kind of have a mutual understanding, right? Like we have the bad bitch mentality, and Red is like trapped in this good girl performative paradigm. But let me read you some text that she sent me about Blue. This girl is so bothered. I actually typed Red in my chat history. That's not her real name. Let me find her real name. Yeah, no, I want to read a certain text that she sent me so that we can dissect it psychologically, or the psychology behind what she says. Because look, I can read this girl like a book already. Okay, so this is our line conversation, right? This is after I participated in the kimono walking event with her. And I'm just telling her, like, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy that I was able to get my first kimono and fruity soda dressed by you, because she dressed me. And then thank you for the tote bag that she gave me, blah, blah. We send a few pictures back and forth. Then she's like, oh, someone is copying my reel. She's referring to Blue, right? Because Blue, according to Red, see, again, pitches like Red think that they invented everything, and they think that like the world owes them something. So she says, literally, she's like, Blue is copying my reel, right? Because Red made a reel about some event, and now Blue is also making a reel about the TV shooting or the drama shooting that they had the past weekend. Girl, anybody's allowed to make a reel. Like, what are you talking about? You don't have a monopoly on making content in a certain style, or making a, like, I understand what she was saying. It's not completely unfounded. Like, yes, after she made a certain reel about I think it was, what was it? Oh, it was about the photo session that we had at the traditional Japanese house. Then Blue also made like a similar type of vlog style reel about their drama shooting over the past weekend. But like, okay, and like you don't have a copyright. You don't hold a copyright for being the only person that's allowed to make reels about things related to this beauty pageant, right? So like, that's stupid to me. Why are you so bothered? The fact that she's so bothered, the fact that this girl Blue has her so shook just by being herself, and just by, being bold enough to make her name and make her face known in this community, that shows me that Blue is already winning, okay? In the public arena. Like, as much as you want to think that you're doing things the right way, Blue is winning. Blue is gaining favor with the teachers. What are you going to do about it? You know? Hi, Jasmine. Is it worth competing in beauty pageants? That is something, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Maybe you can figure out for yourself by the end of this whole live, after you watch everything that I'm explaining right now about how much spiritual warfare is actually at play. But yeah, so then I'm just like trying to keep the peace, right? Because I refuse to be coerced into speaking bad about another woman just because she doesn't abide by, the arbitrary standards that this girl Red has set for what she deems to be like a proper way to behave. I actually don't care about any of that. I feel like, S workers, office workers, IT workers, Hollywood actresses, it doesn't matter. We're all prostitutes under capitalism, okay? So it just depends on like what consequences you're willing to deal with. Like me personally, I don't want to deal with the consequences or the stigma of being attached to spicy work. And like also I don't want to, it honestly grosses me out the thought of having to sleep with like stranger men. I'm truly not attracted to like 99.99999% of the men on the planet. They disgust me honestly and truly. And if you don't have any money to begin with either, automatically that also like completely kills my any attraction that I could have. You could be the most handsome Greek god looking man on the planet. If you're broke, you are literally disgusting to me. Okay. I am like trying to think of that term that Shira Seven came up with. I'm like a financial sexual or whatever. Okay. You have to have money first, but then you can't even just have money. Like you also have to be hot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but not sorry, actually. Because yeah, I can pull the ones that have money and that are also conventionally attractive. So why would I not go for that? Like, why would I settle for a rich guy that is fat and balding and what? Anyway, so like, I just, on a personal level, I just don't think I could actually stomach that. But if it's like not actual S work, if it's adjacent, like they call it mizushobai here in Japan. So anything having to do with like, I don't know, dancers, dancing on the pole or working in a hostess club or something, if it doesn't involve actual sexual contact with men, like I would be open to it if I could make the amount of money that I could make. But I don't think it even pays that well in Japan. So that's why it's not even worth the effort to me. But anyway, my point is that like I don't judge women at all for these activities. And I don't think that you can call yourself a real feminist if you like play into the triangulation that the patriarchy tries to foist upon us. But like what's the point of, I don't know, it's asinine to me, like saying that you're better than, like if you're an actress that acts in Hollywood films as opposed to like an adult actress that does adult scenes, for the corn industry. Like yeah, one of them has a stigma that I would rather not live with. So that's the reason why I would choose not to do, the adult acting. But at the end of the day, like I don't consider the Hollywood actress to be better or like of a higher moral standing than the corn actress. You know what I mean? Like that's such misogynistic coded thinking, and I reject it completely with every fiber of my being. And I don't fuck at all with bitches that even have a hint of that mentality still left in them. Or even if, okay, so like all of us, we, the internalized misogyny is ingrained so deeply in us because we've been raised on like media and everything that perpetuates it ever since we were little girls. So it's a constant, like, I honestly think it's a lifelong thing to work against it. It's kind of like an addiction almost. Like it will never fully go away. Like you should never take it for granted that like, okay, I'm fully free now from this programming, right? Like you can get to a very, very good place, but it's always something that I feel like you should cultivate and you should consciously try to fight back against. So even with myself, like if I ever catch myself even making the slightest remark or having the slightest thought that is rooted in like misogyny or pitting women against each other, I catch myself immediately and like I force myself to work through that and get to the bottom of it because I refuse, right? How can you claim to love women and to want better for women but not hold yourself accountable first? That's where it starts. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track, but she's like, okay, she's complaining about the girl copying her reel and her social media content, but like again, as a content creator in this space for the past 7 years, there's no such thing as like other people. You can't complain about other people being inspired and copying your content unless you actually paid for a copyright for like a certain style of editing or vlog or whatever. There's nothing you can really do. Okay, because like at the end of the day, they still made their own original piece of content. You may have perceived it as them copying your style or swagger jacking or whatever, but like, again, why would you care unless you were secure in yourself and confident that you're the one that does it the best? No one can do it like you, right? So why would you be bothered if somebody else is trying to copy your style? Hold on a second. I just remembered that I need to take my clothes out of the washing machine or else they're going to stink. So let's pause for a brief intermission. Hold on. Okay. Say hi to Maxine. Oh my god, she's waiting for her breakfast already, but I usually don't feed her until 8 a.m. But since I'm up, she's like expecting me to give her food already. Okay, yeah. So there's one text that I want to get to that really illustrated her mentality to me, and it just makes me like want to distance myself from her from now on, because it's just kind of disappointing because like I wasn't expecting anything to begin with, but just the fact that we had so much in common in terms of like our work experience and our experience living abroad and like being um like, how do I say this, being an Asian person that was not of the main ethnicity, Asian, being an Asian person that is not of the main ethnicity of the Asian country that we live in, right? So she used to live in Singapore, and then I live in, Japan for the past 10 years. And she's also lived in the States before. So I was really hoping that she would be cool and chill, but no, turns out that she's a crazy, insecure bitch who is secretly an agent of the patriarchy. Like, ow, my throat burns from talking too long. But no, I gotta get through these texts, okay? And then I'll sign off because I have to clock in for my day job soon. Okay, so yeah. So then, like, I'm trying I'm trying not to say, because I don't want to say anything against Blue. I feel like that's bad karma. Like, even though it's true, what everything that she's accusing Blue of doing, I do think it's true. I don't think she's just imagining it. But at the same time, I'm just like, why do you care though? The more that you pay attention to it, the more Blue actually wins. So why are you even giving her what she wants, right? But anyway, she's like, okay, so this is on Saturday after, or no, on Sunday, Saturday? On Sunday, after they shot another episode of the drama with the people that are acting in the YouTube drama, Red says to me that, okay, so today we had like another dinner thing, and she really acted big there. So then I say to her, I'm like, oh, otsukare-sama, like you must be tired in Japanese for that. And then Red says, she is really disgusting. Okay. So then again, I don't want to say, I don't like how she's trying to like get me to join in on her bashing of Blue. So I just say something like, oh yeah, I think I'll meet her, or I think I'll see her next week at the Chinese lesson event thing. So there's like a Chinese lesson event this weekend that I have to go to because I need to meet with the Chinese teacher to help me make my speech. So then Red says, "Good luck. If you feel insulted or anything, please tell the kimono sensei." First of all, no one can insult me, right? And yeah, like no one has the power to make me feel insulted. So don't put that on me. But I didn't say this to her directly, right? But this is what I'm thinking inside. Like, do not put it on me. Why would I feel insulted? You're the one that feels insulted. That's why you're projecting and telling me that, oh, if you feel insulted, make sure that you tell the kimono sensei. Like, no, no, no. See, this is the spiritual warfare part, right? All of this is spiritual warfare, but I clock exactly what's going on. I don't think this girl Red is even aware of what she's doing or how she's projecting. Okay, but I see it from a mile away. Don't put that on me, little mama. If you feel insulted. No, I don't feel insulted. I'm cool. I'm chill. No one could insult me, even if they tried. The more somebody tries to insult me, the more it actually is confirmation of how great I am. Because why would someone go out of their way to try to cut me down in public unless they're feeling inadequate themselves, right? See, this is the paradigm that I inhabit, okay? So, yeah, I didn't. That's where I started to feel like, okay, I'm ready for this conversation to be over. But she keeps going. And she's like, okay, so I literally say, okay, thanks for your advice. Thanks for always looking out for me. But anyway, let's focus our energy on our own jibun migaki in Japanese, which means like our own self polishing. And let's ignore anyone who's being annoying. That's how I respond. And then she says, but be careful because today Blue was really, really trying to get into the kimono sensei's good graces. Like the kimono sensei is really coming around to her. She's really starting to like Blue. So then again, I'm trying to deflect. I'm trying to say something non-committal because I really I'm not interested in talking shit about Blue anymore at this point, right? Even though I do understand like all the stuff that Red is clocking about her, I see it as well. But I feel like at this point, Red, you're losing, okay? Because Blue is the one that's out here unbothered and holding court, and you're the one that's over here like so incensed for no reason. You're like beefing with yourself at this point. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, let's see how long she can keep up the act, right? Red says she will find ways to stand out in the crowd by bossing people around, and she does it very tactfully. Be careful, because she's very cunning. Okay, I don't need to be careful. Okay, I already like clock everyone from a mile away. Then Red continues. She also saw my stories of the Kimono Day event, the Kimono Day walk of you and me together, but she never liked those photos of you and me. So then I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll be careful. Red says again, see, Red, like, she just wanted to bitch about Blue, right? She, Blue, will really boss people around and she'll try to stand out from the crowd. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know it's pretty obvious. Haha. I'm trying to keep it light, trying to keep it neutral. And then Red says, also, I can tell she's trying to override my position as what? As the teacher's pet? As the free help? Like she's really trying her best to get close to the kimono sensei, and her she bought her tote bag. The kimono sensei has like a tote bag that she's selling, and then Blue bought it and made a post about how she bought the tote bag and how she wants everyone to support the kimono sensei, blah blah blah. So then at this point I'm like desperate to just get her to stop talking, so I just start to flatter her, right? Because when in doubt, just tell people something nice about themselves and they'll start to soften. So, but I'm not doing this like from a manipulative standpoint. I'm doing it because like it's based on real interactions that we've had with other people. So I respond, you know what, you have nothing to worry about because everyone says that you're like so great. And I remember at the time we went to the luxury dinner together. That was another event. Like this other girl that was there who also wears kimono, she was asking me if we're both participating in the pageant together, and then she told me that you, Red, are like so beautiful and wonderful and blah blah blah. So this is what I tell her because I want her to shut up about blue. Like stop bashing blue because I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. Girl, you're like 38. Why are you so pressed? But she's like, so then that actually kind of works a little bit. And Red is like responding positively. And she says, oh, you know what? She's just being nice, like the other girl in kimono. And she's really genuine. You know, she's in the kimono group as well. And she's super nice. But I can tell she's like, okay, I gave you a compliment. So now you feel better, right? Now you don't feel like you need to bash blue anymore. No, she continues going. She's like, anyway, I really don't like her. So then I reply, yeah, honestly, just don't pay any attention, okay? Don't pay attention to her. And she's like, we're not even in the same group. Like, we're not in the same division together, but I feel strong vibes that she's trying to appeal to a lot of different people. And she sees me as like her rival, and we're not even in the same group. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, you know, just ignore her. Like, what else am I supposed to say at this point? I'm not going to join in the bashing. That's one thing I'm not going to do, especially after you like literally called this girl a prostitute completely unprompted. Completely unprompted. Like, where did that come from? So then Red continues. So today, okay, blah blah. I'm gonna skip some of these, but she made some like stupid comments or some wild comments, apparently, according to Red. And she's so stupid to say that. So then I was like, you know what? I'm actually laughing out loud right now. Because it was funny to me. And then she says, ugh, nakami karappo, meaning that she's empty inside. She's an airhead, right? And then she says, I can imagine she's going to try to do similar things to you. This is the point where I realized, oh no, you're not getting any more access to my energy. Because, like, by her saying that I can imagine she will do similar things to you, that's Red trying to force onto me her own insecurities, right? I can tell I don't know if she even notices it, but not only is she like super bothered by Blue, which means that Blue's tactics are working, she's also, at this point, I can tell she's bothered by the fact that I'm so unbothered by Blue, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not giving her any reaction. I'm not joining in her bashing of Blue because I have no reason to. Like, I don't have personal beef with Blue, okay? And I don't plan on, finding out if we do because we're going to keep, me and Blue, we keep a respectful distance from each other outside of the events. When we come together at the events, it's cool. It's fine, whatever. Like, we respect the other's hustle, okay? But yeah, I have no reason to bash Blue. And even in light of all these stories that Red is telling me, it's nothing like super egregious. It's just the fact that Red doesn't like the way that Blue talks or socializes with people. But like, that's not a crime. Okay. And other people don't need to adjust their personality to acquiesce to what you prefer. That's just the reality of life. So anyway, the fact that like I'm not reacting and I'm not bothered by Blue, that's why she said to me that I I can imagine she'll do similar things to you. Cuz she's bothered by the fact that I'm unaffected, okay? Like, my mood is unaffected. I'm not getting wrinkles. My stress is not written on my face the way it's written on Red's face. So that's why she's like trying to push onto me that, oh, you should also be worried about Blue. No. I reject that. Okay. I reject that energy. Go heal yourself, girl. Work on yourself. Do not bring that shit to me. You understand? So at this point, I'm like completely checked out because I'm like, that one line, see, it sounds very it's like fake concern. That's what it is. Like, oh, she's gonna do the similar things to you, so be careful, right? No, she's not. Okay. I don't need to be careful. I'm good. I've already been very astute and observant since day one. I clock everything 10 miles away before yeah, like I'm 10 steps ahead and I clock everything before when it's coming towards me like 10 miles away. I'm good, okay? No one is going to do anything to me. No one's going to sabotage me. Do not even dare to speak that possibility into my reality. Like, get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? I hope I'm like expressing this well. I know the girlies that get it will get it, but yeah, it's hard to explain if you're like not in the dynamic yourself, right? But this is 100% what's happening with this girl. She's like, so this is where I noticed that like she is, whether it's subconsciously or on a conscious level, I think like at this point it's still subconscious. She's starting to build resentment towards me as well because I'm not bothered by Blue the way that she is, and I'm not like I'm not agreeing with her on everything that she is saying about Blue, because I refuse to slander another woman or put down another woman and like spread rumors about her. How dare you say that she must be doing S work in order to fund her lifestyle? That's none of your business, you know? But yeah, so I can tell she at this point, like when she said that be careful because she's gonna do similar things to you, I'm like, oh no, you gotta go. Okay, we can't be friends anymore. I'm sorry. We can't do any more one-on-ones. Like I reject this energy completely. And it was even further solidified for me yesterday when she sent me this barrage of texts in the middle of the day. Okay, so we're both working, right? Like we work in a similar industry. Both of our companies actually have their headquarters in Ginza, which is why we were able to meet up for lunch a couple of times. But I stay home. I work from home most of the time, and so does she. But I think she goes into the office more than me because she's required to go at least twice a week. For me, nothing is really required. I just show up once in a while when people want to eat lunch with me and stuff. But yeah, she sends me this barrage of texts in the middle of the day yesterday while I'm working. I mean, it was during lunch hour, but still. And she's like, "Oh my god, how do we fill out this form, etc." Like she's asking about the pageant, right? Because there's ways that you can support the contestants online, which by the way, I'm not even bothering with any of those things. Like they gave us links and forms and whatever to send to, you know, potential supporters or sponsors, I guess. I don't know, maybe some of the girls have like sugar daddies or sponsors or whatever that will pay for them to get more points in the final yeah, like in the final judgment round. Um, so technically, you could. I mean, if you had like a very rich sponsor, technically you could buy your way towards a Grand Prix. It's not, nothing is guaranteed, of course, but if you like, let's say, I think the max contribution that any one person or any girl can get is up to $3,000 worth of donations from like a sponsor. I don't think anyone is going to get anywhere close to that, but like technically if you had like a billionaire boyfriend or something, that then he could buy your guaranteed winning of the Grand Prix in this pageant, right? So she's like really worried about Blue having sponsors now since she's convinced herself, based off of no evidence whatsoever, that Blue is like an S worker that has all these sugar daddies that are gonna sponsor her win of the Grand Prix. So now she's like panicking. And yesterday, in the middle of the day, when I'm trying to work, she's like asking me all these questions about, oh, but how does this form work and how does that form work, and like, are you sure that, wait, so if we have somebody that wants to buy a point for us or like buy products based off of our, you know, social media recommendations, which also counts towards like the influencer award or something. So she's like, oh, where do they upload the receipt, like where's the URL, how do I work this form, do you understand? Because like I don't understand, I'm trying to watch the instructional video and I don't get it. And then I'm like, I genuinely I don't understand, because like I never plan to advertise my participation in this contest like that. It's not that deep to me, okay? Like I literally I don't care, okay? I won the photogenic award and then I won the best performance award with like bare minimum effort because I already knew I was the shit from the beginning. I think it's because I don't have desperate energy. That's why they decided to, like, I was truly just there to have the best time that I possibly could. That was my ultimate goal, okay? And to look hot and to have my body snatched and look like tea. So I think that energy is what drew in the two awards that I was able to win in July and October. And like whether or not I win anything in January, I don't care. It's out of my hands, you know? Like I'm already how can I lose when I'm already chose? Like but yeah, so she's like asking me all these questions and then I'm kind of just giving her non-answers because I genuinely don't know. Like I haven't looked into it and I don't plan to because it's not that deep to me. Like if I win, I doubt that it makes a difference whether or not somebody buys me half a point from the website. But anyway, so I don't really help her because I can't. And she keeps asking questions. And then at the end, I'm just like, maybe the form is supposed to be accessed through mobile. Like maybe how sometimes if you access something that is optimized for mobile as opposed to like desktop PC view, sometimes certain fields are not visible in the desktop version. So I think she was looking at it through like her desktop computer, but I told her maybe they're banking on the fact that people are accessing these forms through their Keitai, like their cell phones. And so why don't you try looking at it through your cell phone? Maybe it will be clearer which fields they need to fill and whatnot. And then she's just like, oh, okay, thank you. And she put like this sparkly, like sparkly face emoji. And this looks like an innocuous voicing of thanks, but it's actually passive aggression at its highest. Okay, because I didn't tell her anything that could help her, right, with all of the questions that she had. But why did you come to me and interrupt my day and interrupt my work with all of your like 15 lines of questioning? I'm not the operator of this pageant. I'm not a worker for this organization. Like, why don't you ask someone, if you're so worried about it, why don't you ask one of the senseis or one of the people that run the actual pageant? Like, why are you coming to me? Do you want me to prove my loyalty to you as a friend or something? Because, like, we're not friends, okay? Not after you accused another girl of engaging in spicy work solely based on the fact that you don't like her personality or something. Like, no. So she's like, thank you in a passive aggressive way when it's clear that like I didn't give her any information that would help with whatever she's struggling with. Not out of malice, just because I genuinely don't care and I'm not going to go out of my way to work so hard and like find out the answers to what you're asking me just to prove that like I'm on your side. No, it's not that deep, okay? So that was the second passive aggressive thing. And also, she also says something else weird to me. So like, okay, I tried to schedule another photography session with the official photographer for this organization because that's another oh yeah, sorry. It's like 7 a.m. so I'm kind of out of it, but I won the photogenic award in July, right? And I learned later, see, at the time that I won, I didn't even know that this was a factor. But apparently, because I took a picture with the official photographer, like I paid for their photography to take a picture of me in my dress in May. Because of that, that automatically placed me into the running for the photogenic award, which the photographer is a judge for that award, right? So, for the January contest, the big one, anyone who takes a photo with the official photographer will get a point towards their standing for the photogenic award in January. So I was thinking that, oh, maybe I should like try to skew the results toward in my favor for the photogenic award because I won that one once already, right? So like maybe, it's definitely easier to aim for that than it is to aim for the Grand Prix in the entire China dress division. So I was thinking like maybe I should take another photo with the photographer so that like I can reintroduce myself to him and we can build up a better rapport. So I messaged the official line account, right? Because that's where we go to in order to set up our like lessons and other appointments. So I asked them, can I join the next photo session, which is on the 23rd? And then they sent me this long paragraph saying that, oh, okay, Yeah, like just so you know, Ren, you already have a point for the photogenic award because you took a picture already with our photographer back in May. Remember? I'm like, yes, I remember very well. That was the green dress, that the first cheap out that I wore, and they were like, yeah. So just so you know, like you already have a point because you already took an official photo. So we're using that photo already for your profile online, but you can certainly take a different photo if you wanted to wear a different cheap out. And yeah, like if you wanted to change out your photo, you can certainly do that. But just so you know, you already have a point, right? Like they didn't want me to go into a second photo session not knowing this and feeling like I had been cheated or something. So I appreciated that. But then I was so I don't know why, and actually I do know why, because I was trying to see her reaction and she gave me exactly what I was expecting. Like male centered pick me women are so easy to read, just like a textbook. But I sent it to her as a test, right? So I screenshotted this message from the official account and I sent it to her and I said, haha, they're telling me not to do another photo. LOL. I'm so confused now, right? But actually, like, it's not really confusing because they made it clear in their message. They said that, hey, we just want to double check. Like, are you sure you want to book a second photo session? Because it's not cheap, okay? But they were like, just so you know, like, you don't have to, because they wanted to make sure that I didn't feel like I had to take a second photo. They wanted to make sure that I knew my first photo already qualifies me for 1 point towards the photogenic award and that I can already use my first photo as my official profile picture, right? Online where they have a page where they list all the contestants. So yeah, I snapshot it, but I was like, I sent it to her and I jokingly said that, oh, look, they're telling me not to do another photo. LOL. Like, what do I do? And you know what this bitch says to me? She's like, oh, I think you're not allowed to take a photo. That's definitely not what they said. And since she's actually a native Japanese speaker, like actually I'm I'm not even a native speaker, but obviously I understand whatever the official account is saying. But the fact that like she's a native Japanese speaker, so there's no way whatsoever, like there's no plausible deniability that she could have misinterpreted their message to me. They literally didn't say that I'm not allowed to take another photo. They just were warning me. They wanted to let me know that, hey, this is not required of you to take another photo, just so you know. You already have one that qualifies from the one that you took in May with our photographer. But the fact that she replied to me that, oh, I think you're not allowed to take another photo, I'm like, what is your deal? Like, these types of people, yeah. I plan to stay far away from this girl after after January. Up until January, I'm just gonna, do my bare minimum. I'm going to show up at the events. I'll get along with everyone and there's gonna be no issues, okay? And I'm not gonna allow anyone to bring any weird or toxic energy into my bubble. But I think I'm gonna distance myself from her, like deliberately. The moment that the pageant concludes, because this type of person feels like everyone is out to get them. They have a hierarchical mindset. They have a very like lack mindset at the end of the day, to where like why would you tell me that, why would you interpret the screenshot I sent you as the official organization telling me that I cannot take another photo? That's literally not what they said. They said that they were telling me that, hey, you don't have to take another photo. And like this cannot be attributed to poor English skill either, because this girl's fluent in English. Okay, she works in a fully bilingual capacity, and she's worked in an English-speaking country for many years of her life. So, like, I don't know if it was a misreading, or I don't think she was trying to like. Okay, I don't think this is her attempt to sabotage me or anything. I think it's literally just her brain is so much stuck in this fight or flight mode that she automatically was just like, oh, she automatically thinks that everyone is out to get her. Blue is out to take her position as teacher's pet. The organization, like that other girl who did her kimono wrong, was out to sabotage her and make sure that she didn't win the Grand Prix in July. The Chinese model that came in out of nowhere that honestly, didn't even acknowledge her existence. The Chinese model was also preventing her from getting what she deserved in life. Like everything that she sees everything through a lens of like, I'm the victim. I'm the one getting shorted here. When it's like, okay, but nobody asked you to be a perfect goody two shoes and then promise you a prize at the end. Like nothing in this world is promised. And just because you think that, just because you're playing by a certain set of rules, that doesn't mean that everyone else is following that same set of rules. And they're not obliged to either. And even if you throw a tantrum and stomp your feet, they're still not like obligated to change their strategy in order to make you happy or to satisfy your standards. So yeah, anyway, then she like starts talking about, oh wait, I have a question. Like, who's the judge for the who is the judge for the Chipao division? Is it the Kimono Sensei or the Chipao Sensei? Like now, obviously, I've been referring to them as Kimono and Chipao Sensei throughout this entire life, so it's obvious. But she was asking with their real names, right? So then I was like, oh no, it's definitely the Chipao Sensei, right? Because that's what they said in the orientation. I remember clearly from the video as well. So then she's like, oh, so that means you only need to take walking lessons from the Chipao Sensei, right? I'm wondering if you should take lessons from Chipao Sensei and Kimono Sensei, or is it okay if you don't take anything from the Kimono Sensei? First of all, don't worry about me. Like, why are you worried about me? She's worried about me because she wants to vicariously get back at Blue through me winning the Chipao division. And my thing is, like, I don't want your support if it's rooted in your hatred towards another woman. Like, what the fuck, okay? If you want to support me, like, I only want good energy behind anyone that is rooting for me to win. Otherwise, I don't need your support, okay? You can keep that. Like, I'm good over here on my own with my pure cleansed energy. But anyway, she's like, I'm like, yeah, actually, I've only taken lessons before from the Chipao Sensei. I mean, the Kimono Sensei lives in Kyoto most of the time, so, just logistically speaking, I've never had a chance to take a personal lesson with her. But anyway, I have not even really been thinking about all this at such a deep level because it's not that deep. But she's like, oh, okay, well, in that case, I think you're at more of an advantage than Blue. So then I literally go, heh, 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 heh. Like, what are you getting at? No, because I think Blue never took lessons from the Chibao Sensei, and she's really busy, like, entertaining the Kimono Sensei these days. But the judge for the Chipao division is the Chipao Sensei, right? So that means you're more at an advantage. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, the video clearly said that Kimono Sensei judges for the Kimono division and Chipao Sensei will judge for the Chipao division. So I think we're good. AKA, can you drop this? Because I'm sick of talking about this. And she's like, yeah, so Blue is really trying to entertain the Kimono Sensei these days. So I think you have more of an advantage than her. And I want you to get the Grand Prix for the Chipao division. I'm like, aw, thank you. But I don't really want your support if it's rooted in your vendetta against Blue. That's bad juju, isn't it? Like, no, stop. Don't put that on me. So then she asked she's like trying to become my coach, right? She's like, oh, when you do a speech, like maybe you should like make it more focused on what's better for the community. Like you should show your dedication to your community or the good that you want to do in this world, the contributions that you want to make to the world, the public at large. Like I think they would really appreciate that if you talk about that in your speech. And I'm like, yeah, but my strategy is not based on what other people would approve of, though. My strategy is based on what's important to me, okay? So when I construct my speech, it's going to be about a topic that is genuinely close to my heart, right? Which, yes, it will probably coincide to some degree to what the judges are looking for, but there's also a risk that not everyone would see eye to eye to me on a certain topic, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to say my piece anyway, right? I'm going to say whatever is aligned with my own values, like regardless of whether or not it's guaranteed to land well with the judges or whoever. That's just called operating in integrity. But anyway, yeah, this girl is exhausting. And it's just ironic because, you know, I initially connected with her individually based on our shared life experiences, but now I find myself more like, well, I've always been an island unto myself. Like I was never going to get too involved or too like I was always going to keep a safe distance from everyone, right? Because I believe in healthy boundaries, and that's actually one of the reasons why I enjoy being in this pageant because I feel like I get the socialization aspect out of it without having to get like too close with people, right? Because I don't have time for all that at this point in my life. I like having acquaintances to where like when we get together it's for a certain purpose and a certain event, and outside of that event if we don't have much in common, that's totally fine with me. I don't need a friend that's like attached to my hip or something. We are no longer on the playground, you know. But yeah, it's ironic how like I started out thinking that this girl could really be like a friend to me um in real life, but now she's showing her true colors. She's showing how like it's not the fact that I think she is going to stab anyone in the back, but the fact that she's so vindictive and so bitter. Like I can feel the bitterness emanating from off of her, that she feels that she was slighted or she was cheated out of certain awards, or that like now this new blue character is trying to take her place. First of all, like why do you think you're so important that somebody won't want to take your place? Why can't it just be that blue is naturally letting her own personality shine and everyone seems to be magnetized towards it? You know, I'm not disputing that blue, and like I can see, okay, blue is definitely doing some things on purpose to push her buttons. And like I've seen blue make slight backhanded remarks to red before, but again, it's so easy to just like ignore it or just flip it back on her. Take it, pretend that you're clueless and take it as a compliment. And then maybe she would actually respect you more. Like the way that I did when Blue tried that shit with me once, and I kind of just I literally like first of all, I literally don't care cuz like who are you people? Are you guys paying my rent? Are you guys cutting my paycheck for me? If not, then I really don't care, you know? But yeah, I think Blue she's playing right into Blue's tactic, and she's not hiding at all. I don't know if she's even trying, but she's not doing a good job at all of hiding how bothered she is by Blue. And I think Blue is eating it up. I think she's reveling in it because I'll tell you one thing I would be if I was trying to get under a girl's skin and she was reacting to me in this way, I would consider that a success on my part, you know? Like, wow, she's so bothered by what I'm doing. So that means that I'm winning and she's falling into my trap. But anyway, okay, I need to go now because it's 7 a.m. And yeah, I'll keep you guys entertained and updated on this story. But beauty pageants are actual spiritual warfare, and this has been a fascinating social experiment so far. And I like the fact that I get to be a spectator in this, and like somehow the universe is still protecting me, right? Because so far, you know, Red is telling me all these things. Blue isn't talking to me, but whenever I meet with Blue at events, she's definitely like trying to get on not just my good side, but I guess everyone's good side. And it's just so funny Like, it's so fascinating to me to see how these dynamics play out. And I feel like it's just the perfect time in my life to um, enter such an arena, because the fact that I'm so self assured right now and my self concept is so strong, that is what makes me like invincible to all this bullshit that's going around. That's what makes me able to be an island unto myself, to where I'm just focusing on myself, right? I have my head down, like, okay, I have tunnel vision, you know? I'm only concerned with how's my dress gonna look. Okay, I gotta make it, make sure that it's steamed and the fabric, like the wrinkles are all steamed out the night before. I gotta make sure that my makeup, the colors match the dress. What hairstyle am I gonna do? Um, how confident do I feel with my walk beforehand? Like, I'm just tunnel vision, okay? I don't really have time for the drama. And whatever events I go to, I'm going there again for my own benefit. I'm going there for the selfies. I'm going to go schmooze with, the senseis and the other members, some of the less toxic members, please, okay? Because there's a lot of fun girls in here too that don't that haven't spent like $2,000 on lessons, and that don't feel like their entire self-worth and self-esteem is hinged on winning this freaking obscure ass this Grand Prix for like the most obscure beauty pageant that you've ever heard of. But anyway, I'll keep you guys updated because it's fascinating to me and it's very entertaining. And yeah, I might have to. I know I say this all the time. Like, I usually keep these lives or these videos open to the public because I don't have that big of a following anyway. But I really feel like this girl is psychotic enough to the point where she might actually stalk me, and she might actually be subscribed to me on YouTube. And I don't think she'll have time to watch an almost 4-hour live stream, but she has time to nitpick every single word that Blue writes on her Instagram posts. So I wouldn't put it past her. So I might actually have to put this one in my memberships later. I wish I could keep it public because I think it's such a fascinating topic and it's such perfect timing with the Miss Universe drama. Listen, I think that this Qipao and Kimono pageant is like better material for reality TV than the Miss Universe pageant could ever be. We just don't have a production team and we don't have the funds behind us, to broadcast ourselves to the world on the level of the Miss Universe organization. But I think this is like a gold mine of material for if anyone wanted to do a reality show on niche beauty pageants. But yeah, I'll talk to you later. I gotta take the trash out before the trash man comes at 8 a.m. So, and I gotta feed Maxine, and then I'm gonna sleep until 12 and wake up and do like maybe 2 hours of work, and then we have the company dinner tonight. So I have to like shower and do makeup and stuff for that. Bye. Thanks for hanging out.